And we are live, SoundMinds.
SoundMinds, yes, sir. Another fabulous Sunday with y'all, man. Your favorite host of your favorite podcast. And, for the most part, man, we always told you we was going to keep elevating week through week. This is the 10th week, and this is the dime, which is the alley-oop, the assist, and it's just the 10th episode with some amazing artists, man, two great MCs who happen to be together in an album, but also part of the same family, man. So it is a blessing to have them here. Self is on his way. Rapoet is on his way. I am LiteSkin, LiteSkin, living it through every situation known in nature. My brother Ra.
I am King Ra. That's King Ra. Shaman, also known as PUP. It's my formerly known name, but I am, like we say, working on that transition to get everybody to know the new name, King Ra, as I move into my 33rd year, my master number year. So, it's time to step it up, you know what I'm saying? And, this is going to be a powerful episode, family. You know what I mean? I really feel like this is going to be a historical episode, and I think I want to give the heads up early. This might be a little over an hour. It might be over an hour and a half, maybe,
yeah, let's talk.
When we get the building, I'm just throwing that out there.
Let's talk, man.
So
sharing the link.
Let's get the intros in.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Let's get the intros in. We have Brooklyn's ambassador. We have one of the illest pillars of hip hop, man. So since me growing up, man, I actually, and I haven't told you this as we hear, man, but looking up to you and at the time too, your partner punching words was like something that was flowing out of my mind and my mouth just because of how ill and how lyrically skilled y'all were. You know what I mean? And to see the ciphers, man. So we have Brooklyn's own Wordsworth. So applause, no sound effects or nothing, but applause to y'all. And then we have, I'm going to put it out there, B. Washington Heights, illest lyricist I have ever in my life heard. And maybe I sound biased. I don't care about that. But I'll tell you straight off the bat, when you hear the brother speak, when you hear the brother spit, multiple platforms that he has been on, multiple projects, you'll understand why I say he is Washington Heights' full-blown secret. My man, Pearl Gates. PG,
Gates.
What's up? Applause the brother.
Much love, much respect.
So, yeah, thank y'all, man. Thank y'all, brothers, for being here, man. And I think the beauty of it was the accessibility of being able just to reach out to y'all and yo, do y'all want to? Y'all was like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? No red tape, no type of overflown grass. It was just that simple, just that smooth. And I appreciate y'all for being that, man, especially because of both of you, what y'all what you represent for hip hop, but at the same time, any type of references in regards to MCs or lyricists, man, I think y'all need to be on that top list. You know what I'm saying? So thank y'all, brothers, man. Thank you for what y'all doing, man.
Most def. Now let's get our brother Rapoet Self-Suffice back up in here real quick. I'm telling you, and as I do that, family, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and share right now, because this is going to be a powerful episode, family. 1 second. Hold on 1 second. We in here.
There we go.
Self-Suffice, you back. Talk to the people.
SoundMinds.
Talk to us, man. You got the sun in your face looking like you in a photo shoot.
Oh, he's breaking up still.
Okay.
Yo, we installation out here, man. There's no stars on this call, you heard?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yo, Self-Suffice, your connection.
Increasing audio, but
his connection's still breaking up.
Yeah.
He have to move. He's gonna move to another spot.
He basking in the sunshine,
Yeah. He looking like he was on the beach right now. But
hey, that's part of
without
of having a sound mind. You gotta let that light shine in.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Pun intended. You need the light, man.
Right.
So with that being said, man, y'all dudes, we're gonna get into it, man. Y'all dudes put out and if I'm not mistaken, man, the 1 year anniversary just popped off like 2-3 weeks ago, right? The Champion Sound anniversary.
Yeah. It definitely
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
I hadn't even realized it like that, like, because we be so caught up in just trying to stay on top of putting other stuff out. So
Right,
it's like
right.
in today's market, you really can't even celebrate anything. You gotta be like, you put something out, you gotta be like on to the next thing. So it is a blessing that it's been a year with that, and then it's also a blessing that with us putting something out, we don't feel like that's it. So I think the fact that we don't think about it, even though it's been out, lets you know that we got more coming, and I think that right there is a blessing in itself.
Well, yes, I don't want to move past this too quickly at all. Yes, a year has went by, but this, for me personally, listening to the album, we create timeless music. That's timeless music right there.
Thank you, man.
I was literally able to sit down. Me and my 15-year-old son was able to listen to this album, and number one, compare a lot of Wordsworth to. He sounded like Nas a little bit, like he sounded like Nas, or just knowing. Like, you can tell the difference, number one, between the two voices, but then the two styles. You definitely sound more seasoned, Wordsworth, and then you got like Pearl Gates is more of aggression tone to it. You know what I'm saying? So it really balanced out. And me and my son sat back and listened to this album. That's why I want to say it's timeless. Yes, this is brand new to me. And I want everybody else that's now going to listen to this after hearing this podcast, it's going to be brand new to you. No matter how how long it's been out. It's brand new. Facts.
And I'm glad you brought up the word timeless, right? Because honestly, like I've been a part of some great projects. I have had the opportunity to have more projects beyond Champion Sounds and stuff like that. But I'm particularly proud of this record just because of that feeling. Like we went into it just trying to make something cohesive and came out of it, bearing ourselves and our experiences on these records with Quincy Tones, who produced the entire album. And I in my crib currently, right, I have a room. I call it the vinyl room. So it's no TV in there. You know what I mean? I got a little setup with some music equipment. Nothing recording, just music and a vinyl record player. And I got a small collection of records that I got over the years that I've just been working on, and I just been playing records in that room and just vibing out on some timeless records. I mean, like I've been on Dizzy Gillespie, I've been on, Miles Davis, a lot of the records I got was from my significant other's grandfather, who's 88 years old.
Wow, those are gems.
So
those are gems
that,
like, I just are transcendent of time. And I think that's always been a part of me internally. Like I've always connected to that frequency of, you hear something, that no matter what era you plug it in, it's just gonna resonate, right? In its way. And I think that we were blessed and lucky enough to accomplish that on some levels with Champion Sounds. We brought in, musicians, instrumentation. It wasn't only lyrics or rap, and I did some singing on the project.
That's what I was gonna ask you about that next. You also do singing, that I hear mostly on hooks, which is very similar to what I do. Or started off doing. It was only singing on my hooks and rapping on my verses. Now, you really hear the the time difference, like I mean, not let's say the difference between the age difference too. What are you two age differences, Bob?
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because listening to what Gates is talking about, me knowing Gates, when we started like going on tour together, Gates' favorite artist is Nas. I think maybe Nas. So for me hearing that on tour with him, I was like, we driving for hours. So I'm in the front seat, really getting to know Gates. I'll give you a quick backstory on that real quick. Me and Gates are in a group called The Idea that was put together by my boy Range the Messenger, Robot Scott, and Jacqueline Constance is in that as well. And we did music together, and I met Gates one time. He came to an EMC show in New Eurekan Poets Cafe, and we met that one time, and we needed somebody to help like road manage us. So I called Gates, and he road managed us for that tour. Now, mind you, I really didn't know much about anything, but on the phone with him, I just felt he was genuine, you know what I'm saying? But during that trip, his history of the game is what I was amazed with. Like him knowing about, G-Rap, Kane, and all of that. So Gates is 10 years younger than me, if I'm right. Maybe, yeah, Gates is like actually more than that. You know what I'm saying? So he's like total generation below. So
yes.
So with him having that knowledge and his favorite rapper being Nas, it made me think like, where was this dude that was listening to Nas when I was older? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what you get to hear on the fact of the album, is that the fact that I respect that not only that he knows the history, is the fact that I respect that his talent for what's going on currently.
Yes.
So a lot of his suggestions and like really fine tuning the album, I was able to accept and listen to it and understand it. And I think that's what brings the cohesion to the album a lot, along with Quincy Tones. But the fact that Gates' history, as you can tell, I'm listening to all this type of stuff. I think that's where a lot of this helps a lot with me and him doing an album together. I don't know if I could do an album with somebody that didn't really respect the game like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
I'm a not to cut your wisdom words.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. Since I met Gates, right? Crazy. I'm not even gonna get into whatever school, whatever. I met him as a counselor, right, for an attendance program.
Right.
So it was during the time that everybody had to get to class, and I see a crowd just around. I'm like, oh man, these hallways are always full, man. Yo, get to class. Let's get to class.
Exclusive.
My little brother, yeah, this is exclusive, right? So my little brother sitting, and I didn't know him, never met him. I just hear some, as I'm getting closer, word rebel every time I trouble with. I'm like, yo.
Right.
And I'm thinking it's a fight because the crowd is so big. When I get there, this dude is spitting, right? And I'm like, oh, snap. Yo, how old is he to be doing this? So now I'm thinking, so when I find out his age, and, it's funny, I was trying to get everybody else to class, so I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
I said, yo, everybody, break this up. Let's get to class. Young man, let me see you in the office real quick. Let me speak to you real quick. Yo, how old are you, man? When I found out his age and we had a conversation, and it was just kind of like when I recognized his beyond year knowledge of who he was. So it makes sense that you say that, man, because truth of the matter is, and when Gates talks about, getting records from an 80-year-old, you know what I'm saying, which is a blessing, but being able to listen to Dizzy and to Miles and absorb that at his age, he's been like that since I can remember, man. So
yeah, and
this right here, this project, it only makes sense.
It made sense because me and him building so much, I'm like, because the thing is for me is doing a project and being around Gates. I'm not sure how familiar he was with my work at that time, right? Right. We got together doing projects, and then we got to build on tour. And then knowing that he respected that type of penning, I was like able to say, all right, well, he's not going to look at the way I write as it's old. He's not going to be looking at me like the old head or anything like that. He's looking at it like bars are bars because he writes bars. He's able to recognize, you know, all genres. And that's what I think helped a lot. The fact that he has the recognition and respect of if it's hot, no matter age or anything, whatever. He's just bars are bars, you know what I'm saying? And that's very difficult sometimes with someone of his age and stature because sometimes they're so focused on whatever's current. Gates is current now. He's every genre. So every genre and generation. So I think that helps a lot tremendously, you know?
And we're going to build on that too. We're going to build on that, what you just said.
I want to build on more about Gates because that's what we're talking about. And it kind of helps understand, you know, who Gates is, you know what I mean? Like now, like I want to ask, do you remember those times? Do you remember that time and that moment and how old was you and why were you in a sense that advanced already at that time?
Well, I do want to say I remember that, and I also remember getting suspended for that. They told me that I got suspended for inciting a riot, which I thought was insane. You know what I mean? But like it was just like I think the part of me that's always been with me since I can remember is my passion for things that I have interest for. So like before I was rhyming, right? Like I would like take history books, especially in during times when like let's say my teacher was absent or something, and we had to split up among like other classrooms and just do work or whatever. I'd be in the back reading on history and like, yo, what happened on this day, and how did we get where we are, like from what was before me, right? And I'm talking about 4th grade. I was already like my mindset was like that. And then I figured out at a very young age, like, okay, a lot of this is, from the perspective of the victor, right? Of history, so to speak, or whoever's authoring. So it kind of expanded my mind a lot. I also had a lot of older cousins that I grew up around, right? And I was a big observer of people. Because one of the things I pride in is trying not to make the same mistakes that I've seen other people make. Like learn from others because I can't do everything on this earth.
SoundMinds,
right?
That's fire.
But particularly, my father was a musician, and my father, owned a record shop when I was a kid. So I had a lot of access to music very early on. And I was like diving into all types of genres. And even at this time, I wasn't a writer. I didn't consider myself like an artist, right? I was kind of just going into the resources that I had available to me. It wasn't until one of my cousins, like his car broke down, right? And one time it was like 97 or something, I think, right? And I'm a kid, so I'm like sitting in the car and the battery kind of still on. So like, the radio works. He had the cassette deck player and he was like, yo, just throw in this tape while I figure this out. And it was the first time I ever heard The Triumph by Wu-Tang. And I don't know, that definitely changed my life from that moment on. Like it was the very next day I was writing rhymes. The very next morning I was writing and I didn't have no structure. So it was just like pages and pages. But I feel like I'm really like this. At first I thought it was like I'm an old soul, that's just reincarnated into this space. But really, I think I have the perspective and the vision to be able to see that like it don't matter what era or what time and place something was created. When something is amazing, when something has quality and brings and adds value to your life, like there's a reason why a dude is gonna pay $10 million for a Da Vinci painting, or you know what I'm saying, or Picasso. It's because like I throw that on my wall and I'm in that frequency. You know what I'm saying? When I take a look at that, I'm in the space and time that I need to be in order to manifest at the level that I would like to. And it takes a lot of experience to get to that understanding, right? And a lot of insight or just
mental processing.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I pride myself in the quality versus quantity, and words alluded to before, right? Like the 1 year anniversary past week for Champion Sounds, like it's not something that like nowadays you're like, okay, let's celebrate a 1 year anniversary because things happening so quickly. But you know, it's definitely I appreciate platforms like this to be able to disseminate this type of information, because like it's not just like stroking ego or this or what have you. Like we put in the type of love and effort and quality into the work that, you know, it don't matter if it's 20, 30 years from now, you're going to get some value from it. It's timeless.
Mm-hmm.
The conversations we're having, the production value, the you know, the effort in every line and in every instrument is
Mm-hmm.
very evident. And so going back to your point, I just think that I'm very lucky to have been one of those people that whose third eye was open very early.
There you go.
And so I took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Which is a beautiful thing, man. And I got to be honest with you. So for the most part, we gonna go into it real quick, right? The features on this project, man. The features on this album, right?
Yeah.
Heavy hitters. And I'm not only talking about just by namesake, but I got a couple of questions about a couple of people on there, man. But yeah, man, it's just crazy. So Cool G Rap, Spuddy Roots, Lily, Sil, Rashid Chappelle, Talib Kweli, Greg Blackman, Some Voices Choir, Lee Wilson, Master Ace. Yo, and I say this to say, if you know, of course, Cool G Rap, Talib, Master Ace, and you hear those names, you're like, yo, this project gotta be crazy. But then the other people that I mentioned, man, like, I gotta be real with you, man. Lily, and you know what I'm saying? Like the voicestress that she presents to be is just disgusting, man. Like I'm listening, I'm like, yo, and then the Some Voices Choir, like I'm listening to that and I'm like, yo, this is needed now. You know what I'm saying? And then there's other like Sil. I know PG, that's your man. Sil, to me, I'm gonna be real. I think that dude is a hidden gem. You know what I'm saying? His voice, he has a dope hip hop voice. His flow, his ambiance of the way he spits and the way he's keeping his cadence, crazy. So when you go down this list of features, did this come up on some, y'all planned it, or did it just happen to be what it was and it came out to be a classic?
Let me tell you how the world works, man. All right, I'm gonna go with the G Rap one first.
Mm-hmm.
G Rap is my favorite rapper coming up. Right?
Yeah. G is
So I've met G Rap on several occasions. I was there hanging with Black Masters when he did you know, Ill Street Blues and all that. Met him then.
Mm-hmm.
Met him a couple years ago at Ace had a birthday party. I've met him on numerous occasions. My favorite rapper, but never really in the means of like having something like, yo, I need to ask G Rap, or even a way to get in touch with G Rap in that form. So ironically, if I never met Gates, I would never have done a song with my favorite rapper, because Gates actually did a favor on a G Rap album, and G Rap owed Gates a favor, and that's the favor.
Wow. SoundMinds.
So how crazy?
SoundMinds. Word up.
Crazy, right? So if I didn't never met Gates, I would have never did the song with my favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? So and then with the Kweli on Quincy Tones had that track sitting there. And he was like, yo, you think this will fit the project? So me and Gates vocaled it, and I sent it to Kweli, and he was like, yo, that's fire. It's a go. And then, you know, I was amped because I was like, yo, this is going to be crazy. And then Ace, of course, is the big brother with both of them, man. And then Gates, resourceful dude, man. All of them,
man.
That's him, you know, like, yo, I got somebody that sound nice here.
We about to get into that too.
Yeah, Gates.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into, you know, more of Gates, because trust me, Wordsworth, we gonna get into your background too. You got a lot to go into, but at the same time, you know, saying that Gates has all the connections, you know what I mean? Like, who is Gates you know, who is Pearl Gates to have all these connections? Who is Pearl Gates? You know what I mean? To even have a record deal and things of that nature. Like, can you speak to us about, you know, your come up, you know, of how you got signed, you know, what about like the Netherlands deal or, you know, Blow System Records and things of that nature?
And going back to how the world works, right? Like, if I never met Words, I'd have never got my record deal.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So he facilitated that for me. You feel me? So like the G rap situation, for example, that's just a reciprocation of the universe, you know, in terms of give and receive, right? Like just the nature of it at its highest form. And so you know, the interesting thing was my very first show in Europe was in Berlin, and I was unsigned at the time, and they happened to be in the building to see the performance, and they loved it. You know what I'm saying? They linked up after the show, like, you know, shout out to Dennis. Linked up after the show and was like, listen, man, who's putting you out? You know, like, we got to make this happen. But that relationship was, again, facilitated by Words, and eternally grateful for that. I mean, he's part of the reason why some of my dreams have come true. You know what I'm saying? So that for that I'm eternally grateful, and all I can ever do is support the brother, you know what I'm saying, in any of his endeavors. And so going back to your point in terms of like who is Gates, I think I'm not a person that ever got into music for anything other than the purest form of it, like the for the culture, for the passion, for what it brought out of me, you know, the creative lane and opportunity it gave me to express myself and get to know myself. And in that process I became you know, the a transcending and fuller version of myself, right? And so now I enter a space where, you know, like the music industry is formed on top of that pure essence of it, right? And so there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of, you know, a lot of games, a lot of interesting and intricate twists that you know, that comes with territory. But I think that you know, beyond that veil, I have always stayed true to myself, because I never operated from a position of desperation, you know, or a position of you know, needing acceptance. And so I think that I came in with the intention of being myself to the fullest. And I think that people who are also themselves and also real and also genuine, they just recognize it. And I'm able to maneuver in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because like, if you're an artist in the truest form, you know, then you know your purpose is to share your gifts and spread it to the fullest, right? And touch the people that need to be touched. And I think that from Lily to Sil, all the way to Kweli and G Rap and Ace and some voices choir, right? Like, we all have that collective connection in that sense, like, you know, to bring light to the darkness, and to you know, to spread love. And the way we spread love is through our music. And so I just, again, been blessed to connect with like-minded individuals. And you know, I was blessed that G Rap reached out to me, heard my EP with Sil, play this, and was like, yo, I really like what you did on there. I want to get you on the album. Ended up working on the album with on a record with Crooked Eye, G Rap, and Willie the Kid. That was amazing. So, you know, for him to even return the favor, and even he said my name on the record, I was like, man, I can't be real.
It's funny. I was about to ask you about that. You know what I mean? It's funny. But you know what? And I gotta take this time out, man. I gotta commend and salute y'all, right? couple of things that words you said, couple of things that you said, PG, in regards to genuinity. You know what I'm saying? Like the purest form of the culture, the love to say, yo, you have talent, you have skill. Yo, let me open this lane for you. Oh, snap, you know this and it works for you. Yo, let me do this for that. And the fact that that's not really done throughout, and especially with our people, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up, a lot of times, crab in a barrel where it's just kind of like, yo, I want to shine. And I, you know, you go in a couple of the episodes of this podcast in prior weeks, certain things that I've been talking about or that we've been talking about to try to build to kind of get off of that realm. You know what I mean? Because it's so disgusting when you see like, yo, we could all be helping each other. We could all be eating from the same table, eating together at the same table. But instead, people are more so concerned with, nah, if I bring this person on board and they shine more than I do, then I lost out. But the fact that y'all story speaks on the total opposite, you know what I mean? And then to see y'all come together to say, yo, with all the things that we could and what we've done for each other, here it is. Let's hit the world with this. You know what I'm saying? So that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, I kind of prided into also the fact that I've been doing it before Gates and Ace been doing it before me. So I learned from Ace, and then now Gates pass Gates some stuff down, and then Gates is a stronger version than probably both of us because he's so ahead of us with knowledge he knows and what we can say and examples. So it's just wanting to see him win because if he wins, he actually takes the culture further than probably me and Ace.
There we go. There we go.
Right? He's going to be able to do so much more. He'll have the knowledge of, you know, TV, music, placements, publishing, all of that. So then he gets to do what he does. And then similar to how the whole G-Rap thing is, he can always be like, yo, word, I know you're nice with that. Yo, boom, and lace me with it. So it's definitely just understanding that at one point I was Gates, and at some point somebody's gonna be Gates. You know what I'm saying? So you know, in a few years, Gates is doing the same exact thing. It's just evolution of life. So
that's gorgeous, bro.
You know
that's gorgeous.
It's just natural.
Shout out to that, man. Shout out to that, because that's why, for the most part, man, a lot of people don't understand. The world revolves around energy, and I know me and Pearl Gates, we talked about this many a times, man. And this is kind of like, if your energy is of certain griminess, you're gonna keep on getting that same grimy energy. You know what I mean? But if and then there's strength in numbers. So the more we revolve and evolve together, right? Revolving around what we're doing and coming together in the same formats and the same platforms, especially when you're doing it for, you know, me and my partner, man, me and my partner's names were acolytes because we were pillars or soldiers of hip hop. And that's the thing. A lot of people kind of flew away from the preservation of hip hop, the culture, and just kind of try to figure out the newest way to get off of trends and get paid off of that. You know what I mean? So when you speaking about the beauty of the culture and coming together because of that, that's on a whole different level of strength that we can't even, you know, fathom until we finally get there.
Another thing is I'm not afraid to ask Gates his opinion about something I'm doing.
Dope.
So there's no ageism that's with me and Gates. You get what I'm saying? It's we call each other about every and anything. It could be anything. It could be from fashion. It could be sports or whatever. I talk to him as my peer. There's no like younger brother and older brother vibe. Even though we know we consider ourselves like that, it's not that vibe. It's more so like I talk to Gates as if no age exists. It's just how do you see it? You know what I'm saying? So just how do you see it overall? To me, you know, is more appealing than. You don't really understand. That's impossible because at one point people were thinking the same thing about me. So it's more so we have the respect to watch each other grow and ask, yo, what do you think about this? No matter what it is. And I think that's where what's kind of missing a lot is the fact that people don't feel they can ask maybe somebody younger, yo, what do you think about this song? What do you think about this here? I need a hook here. You know, I hit Gates all the time. Yo, I'm thinking about a hook like this. And sometimes he might do the hook, or he might be like, yo, you might need somebody to do this. So I'm able to tap into his resources and his ideology. So I think you just got to be accepting, man. And not feel, there's no way me and him could talk and be offended to each other because we're asking stuff amongst each other and there's no way to be offended. You know, I think that's another thing. Like me asking him a question, him asking me a question, I don't look at it with negative intent. It's just, yo, what do you think? And If he gives me something that doesn't necessarily agree with what I think, I still can cherish it. I can still go, yo, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
It really reminds me of this podcast, number one, because I fit in that category as the younger generation, the generation under our brothers. You know what I mean? I'm the younger 30. I'm in my young 30s. So
right.
So it's like it reminds me of that, because at the same time they ask me questions of what I would think, and at the same time, anytime that I have questions, I ask. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yo, hold up, because some things I may have missed. I be reflecting back at times that, Dad, y'all were teenagers going through it at this time and listening to that song and in this era of hip hop when I was only under 10 years old. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at it from a whole different perspective, and I've missed a lot of things or knowledge or gems that y'all could have picked up now that I'm older and I'm picking up now. So it's like I like to put all those pieces of the puzzle together. And
I think just to speak on that real quick, I think that speaks on the conditioning of our people, which is something that collectively we need to come together and unlearn to then relearn a new process, right? Because like one thing that really bothered me, right, internally, let's say regarding the project, right, like I'm super geeked to have somebody like G-Rap or a Master Ace or Talib Kweli was one of my personal favorites coming up, you know what I mean? And like to be able to do records with these people is like, it's beyond a dream come true.
You made it. Like, this is it. You feel me? Like,
but then in regards to our culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, because of the conditioning, we're very forgetful or don't have the knowledge at all. So if you flip it to something else, for example, right? If I'm a rock and roller today, same age, same person, right? And I happen to do a song with Rolling Stones.
Yep.
It's gonna be a different.
The culture and the culture is gonna accept it
on that energy. They're like, wow, Rolling Stones, like 90 years old, and it's like, wow, you did a record with the Beatles, right? But these are the Beatles of our culture. These are the Rolling Stones of our culture, and that's why it was so important to me to continue to uphold the essence and the tradition.
You're holding the torch with that, my brother.
Yeah,
you're holding the torch with that, and you know what? That is a great, that's an impactful torch to be held, because you can pass down. Even with the interview, this alley-oops right into an interview that Wordsworth had, and I'm paraphrasing, spoke about the bridge that is teared down between each generation, which is not allowing us to grow and respect how we got here. Wordsworth, you talk about that last year on the interview.
Yeah, it's true though, man. If you look at, I'll look at sports. I was looking at some of the sports, and in sports, I'm sure it's there, but I don't really see that much. I see a lot of the dudes that may be young talking about, I was watching some game tape of MJ. I was watching Kareem. Some of these young kids, they go down there and they actually pay Elijah Wan.
Yes.
I forgot what Elijah Wan was getting paid, but he's teaching them, and they willing to spend that money.
Oh, he was caking. He was caking.
Right. But they was willing to go down there and learn the study, the shoulder move. Yep. LeBron went. That's another thing. LeBron wouldn't even have won the championship after that Mavericks loss. He said, "I got to go meet Elijah Wan and get my game right down low, my post game." So that's what's going on in hip hop, is just that fear, and that bridge is kind of burned right now. There's a couple of planks being added to it right now. I can see it going there. It's kind of getting there better, but a lot of it really is just like a lot of it is burned, and that's what kind of hinders us as far as powerful as where we could be,
Man,
and I think, and it's funny that you say that, man, because like, look, the Elijah Wan reference, right? My man literally was being sought out by damn near every NBA team on some, we got a big man, call Elijah Wan up. You know what I mean? And the fact that, and it's more so is more so to the respect of, yo, you are no longer in the NBA, but you have so much that you can offer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, man. And the fact that we've never, looked at, and even the coaching and all that that's going on, it's like we don't respect what people could bring to the table. Is more so how much money can this next person bring. And it's not about the skill level or the talent or how good we are. People pretty much do not care about skills no more. You know what I mean? They pretty much do not care about how we preserve the culture of whatever this is. So what you're talking to is more so being able to see that and being able to get like a mentoring program throughout hip hop and not feel like, nah, this dude is he put out an album back in 2017. He's too old now. We in 2020. Right. So now we only going with a young, and that's the sad part, man, that's where everything starts to kind of, in a sense, fade off. You know what I mean? Where it's just kind of like we no longer have the beauty of mentorship or the beauty of leadership, because now anytime somebody wants to get their name across, they're trying to diss an older dude just to kind of get off. You know what I mean? So, and it's disgusting. But you're right, though, man. We do need that bridge to be mended. We do need that bridge, and it's beautiful to see it between y'all, to see it from Ace to you, to see it from Ace to PG, and you know what I mean, and be able to not feel like, yo, I want my brother to shine. You know what I mean? It's not even about age, it's about talent wise. And if my brother can shine, that's what we doing. You know what I mean? So that's dope.
That alley-oops to a whole another thing that I want to talk about. I mean, which is something that we each have in common, which is teaching. And also Wordsworth, you have programs, in the schools. Our brother Self-Suffice, like, I mean, to be honest with you, Self-Suffice and Wordsworth, you guys remind me of like alike. You know what I mean? As far as like the with the programs in the school, and I'm talking about that's a way to bridge the gap, and I see it working. You have evidence of it working. Self-Suffice has evidence of it working. Me, myself, has evidence of it working. But it's just saying that we need more of this to bridge the gap. We need more of it. Can we speak about, the teaching aspect that you guys are putting forward to bridge the gap, and how can we take that to another level?
Well, I think one of the issues is that there's only 2% black males in the whole nation teaching. So, me seeing people talk about, the education system is this and that. And I'm like, all right, well, can you fix it? Can you jump in? Help? You got help. Yeah, where you at? Because even for me, it was like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just doing my music thing. And then I got involved with the situation based on the fact that a white lady, when I was going to be a sub to help my daughter's class out, a white lady said to me, yo, they need you out here. It's a lot of black males. They don't have no teachers. And that was the biggest question I've ever been asked in my life.
Wow.
I've never been asked nothing more serious than that. It was either keep going to go rap and worry about my life, or it was like, all right, stop rapping and now go help the race. That's just really it. That was the question. And it was a white lady coming to me asking about my race, telling me. So
look, they say we need you for your race. Come here.
No, she could have been on some. Yo, I ain't gonna say nothing and just let them.
Right. Let the system fail.
Let them ride out. She kept it 100 with me. So that in itself, I just felt like I did enough for me. I just felt like that at that moment. Like I really, in a matter of seconds, I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I think I did enough for me, like.
Can you tell us what age, like around what age or what time, how long ago this was when you took that, when you made that transition and say, I'm going to commit to that?
Yeah, that's 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So that was really, that's the gist of why I did it. And then looking at the statistics of it, like we're in such a deep hole, so I be trying to draft everybody, Gates, I try to draft as well, because Gates has a associate's degree, and actually he's on his way to help, because he's doing a lot of other stuff that will help us align, culturally. And so I just been trying to draft dudes, you know what I'm saying? I I was talking to a couple other artists recently, and the pandemic hit them, but they got a degree. So I was like, no, but you got the degree, and now you ain't able to rock because they've been doing music. I'm like, yo, go to the classroom.
Right.
That's gonna be here. So you could go there, whether it's sub or whatever, but like you have the degree, so use it. And just looking at that 2%, it's very it's troubling, man. When I think about 2%, that's basic.
Self-suffice. I see you smiling very
It's
hard.
disheartening, man.
Please give us your input because you have a very expert position on this too.
Nah, it's a couple things I gotta chime in. Like, so one thing I realized is that if you could, they call it classroom management, right? But if you could maintain the attention of a group of youth who are not working for you, are not getting paid, sometimes do not want to be in the building, if you could maintain their attention, you think that doesn't translate to being our master ceremony, a MC, hip hop from day one, finding a way to let out aggression and overcoming challenges. Like any MC who doesn't realize the gems being dropped right now, if you want to be a better MC, you're not just going to accomplish that. If you're in an urban environment and you have never taught a class, if you've never assisted a class, subbed a class, been along with a group of young people in a classroom, having to teach them something, you're not the best MC. I don't care who you are. Matter of fact, the first time I met Kweli was my mom had a class by the Brooklyn Navy Yard in Brooklyn, and he was a guest artist there. That's how an associated Kweli, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't at the time, but then later on I realized, of course, he's such an ill MC. He could go in a classroom where people want to fall asleep, not be there. They mad at the system, like Words is saying, but don't necessarily want to change it. But you just took it to a whole. I'll tell you why.
That's because
you said,
you know.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy too, man. Like when we speak about
the 2%, you said, go ahead.
No, it's a delay. It's a delay. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
Nah, there's a delay with you. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying about taking it to the next level. You said I'm trying to draft Words to raise it to 2.5%, 3%, whatever have you, right? And I'm realizing in my mind, just like being a teacher helps you control the crowd more, it's real hard to promote. Like y'all talking about, you dropped Champion Sounds a year ago. That's nothing. If you ain't on a major label, putting out a project a year ago is like still being in pre-production. I don't think that understands what the promotion cycle's like, right? So doing it independently, easy. Like to me, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So you correlated that to saying something that's crazy, which is like we learning from hip hop how to promote ourselves in the midst of going against competition and labels and to the point where maybe we might even be able to put to our own people to get more involved in the schools and to promote to people who don't want us to be in there to get in the schools. And I know Rashaman, like he was saying, I know that's what I do. Every school I've been in is a school that they looked at people with locks in their hair and black is like, oh, that's different, off rip, before they even knew. And then I'm coming from a hip hop background and all that. But I feel like hip hop prepared us for that, right? To be able to promote not just like my song, like you said, something for me, but to promote things that we care about that we don't see being promoted in society.
Yeah, I think honestly, I never realized how important the image was until I became a teacher. So, because once I'm in front of them, now I change generations just from standing there. Yep. See, I didn't realize that, because it's only two black male teachers in my school. So we talking about, you get what I'm saying? So that gives you an idea. So me being able to come in dressed up Monday through Thursday, and then I got the Jordans on and the latest kicks, it gave them image to go, oh, Mr. Johnson, I didn't know you could wear that and still be knowing about this. Like nah, yo, you could do that. You can be all of this, and you could come in here with the J's on, with the low and whatever, and match up. But you got to know that, and when you get older, that's how it is. I earned the fact of coming on this Friday looking fly. You know,
Yes.
I didn't, you know. So, but if you're not there to kind of help with that, it hurts. And I had a discussion with one of my teachers, one of my coworkers, and she's white. She's a white lady, and I told her about a situation in class, and she never could see it that way because she didn't grow up that way. It was a student. I do TV and film, and I had them doing an instructional video, and one of the kids was doing a cooking situation at home. As soon as they showed the kid's house, they were like so blown away because they don't have that type of house.
Right.
So within that moment, I had to jump in and say, "Oh, that's nothing. Y'all all could get that." So I had to let them know they can have that, as opposed to them standing there being like, "Oh my goodness, and the teacher saying, "All right, now everybody calm down, listen to that." Because now I stopped them from leaving the class. I stopped them from leaving the class.
You just unlocked the bonus round.
You get what I'm saying? I stopped them.
You just unlocked the bonus round in this podcast. You just unlocked the quotables round.
But
you got a bar on the album sounds that says, you said, why would we care to parents yell, blah, blah, blah. You got mad bars in between, and then I'm going to skip through those bars. Y'all got to listen to the album. But then he end on, why would we care to hear what our parents yell? Ending off on, most of our life was based on not sharing our parents' self. And I can tell you exactly what Words is saying. As soon as I heard that bar, I knew about those conversations with white administrators, well-meaning teachers. They tell you, what would your mom think? What is this? And it's like, for a lot of us, like even most of the gangsters that I actually know, like people involved in gangs, their mom was a gangster. And like, it's not normalized for the average white person to even conceive that. They think a mom is someone that like makes you pies and whatever. Like, they don't understand we're coming from backgrounds where our mothers and fathers are in this. So when you said that, I felt like pedagogically and hip hop logically, that was so needed. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these youth's lives is based on trying not to be, and they don't have a better model.
Well, that's what I was saying is that moment.
So how could you refer to that as a teacher? How could you say be more like your mom or dad?
Yeah, I was saying that moment. Nobody, if you're a white person or maybe even a black person, if you don't identify that moment as a make and break moment of confidence, the kid leaves the room still enamored by what they saw, but never told they can have it. So I had to make sure when I saw that, I jumped in and said, that's nothing. If you just stay doing your work, all of y'all had that. And that brought the temperature down to kind of like still just, now we just worrying about what's going on in the video because Mr. Johnson said we could have that. So if he said it and I see him having it coming in here Friday fresh, it's a go. If I would have just been like, everybody chill, that needs to be recognized. But how can that be recognized by people that really ain't grow up like us? So if you multiply that one incident times across the country of moments and opportunities that were just left like that and vacated for them to leave the classroom without knowing they can get it, they're just going to grow up with that mindset until they run into somebody that can say they can have it.
And just,
you know what I'm saying?
Just piggybacking off what you're saying, you know, I haven't spent a lot of time in a classroom as a teacher, right? But I've had teaching moments, right, where like, you know, one time I was invited as a guest speaker to speak to the students at Temple University about music and what I do, but also when I was, you shout out to Philly for real. When I was about 19 years old, maybe I was a coach for an AAU baseball team, a traveling team. So we had all inner city kids from the Bronx, from northern Jersey, and parts of Manhattan, and we were traveling down to Myrtle Beach, Orlando, Florida, and playing tournaments where all the other teams were pretty much majority Caucasian. And you know, to give, knowing from where we come from, to give them that experience, right? To play against kids that, you know, they've been groomed for success very early on, and a lot of these kids barely made it into this opportunity, right? Or even have parents, or, you know, a situation that allows them the opportunity to be able to travel and to experience more, right? At that time, I didn't understand how important I was, right? But one of my specific jobs as a coach, like off the field, was if there was troublemakers on the team, they had to stay with me, either in the hotel rooms or in a section of the house if we rented a house or whatever, and I had to guide those kids. So the biggest thing about that was those kids, they wouldn't listen to anybody that they couldn't relate to.
Right.
Then that's the biggest thing. So I was able to impact them. Like, one of the biggest troublemakers ended up getting a full ride to Louisville to play football. You know what I'm saying? And he was a knucklehead, but he respected me so much, and I was able to control him because I was of the same cloth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, image.
And that's a big impact. Which, by the way, that kid specifically, you know, he in playing in Louisville, right? He had a game against Temple one year, and I happened to be in Philly at that time, and I ran into somebody at that game that introduced me to the people that ended up introducing me to Words. So there's a Chinese, saying, a parable. It says, "He who teaches learns himself." So the thing about energy and the thing about teaching and all those things, it's reciprocated energy. It's reciprocation. So you change somebody's life, but subconscious, and you might not even know it, they're changing yours. You're learning yourself. Right. Like Words said, he wasn't aware of his impact until he stood in the classroom. You know what I'm saying?
And I think for the most part, yeah, go ahead.
And see, this is what I heard that Pearl Gates was once a young troublemaker outside the classroom,
of course,
and living it through every situation. Like from the LES was walking through the door, but he, instead of recognizing, just like you did, he said, "Wait, this kid got bars. This is not just a trouble." And you did that. Imagine there was more of us that didn't put the labels that they put on us because we're dispensable to them. Imagine more of us looked at each other, to Words' point, as we're of this community, you're of the community. Maybe we wouldn't even be relegated to these situations, because you said a lot of these kids they put with you acted different.
It's true.
So that means when they're not with you, that whole identity they have is for lack of having us.
Exactly.
And for us being compensated for being able to do the same job.
Light Light was one of those people in my life. You know what I'm saying? That if it wasn't for him, I would have been the knucklehead kid. You know what I'm saying? That just had bars but didn't do anything with it. Like, it was a level of guidance there that allowed me to have the awareness.
Wow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need growing up. We need this awareness, and it comes from every level, right? Finances or education, or even good music or quality music, right? And knowing who to reach out for to get advice, and not and checking your ego and having the humility to be teachable in moments that is not only gonna help you, but
could we get the Light and Pearl Gates Worlds Apart remix right now? Could we get the back and forth of how y'all met? For those who don't know, Jay Sounds got a track called Worlds Apart.
I told the story earlier. So we, one of the things, and I think for the most part, Words, you spoke on it, right? Pearl, you spoke on it. It's that perfect word, relatability. And if our children, right, all black and brown babies are sitting there and looking at the continuous model of what it is that the front of their classroom looks like, they will never fully understand the kind of like the ceiling is not the limit. You know what I mean? And for the most part, to be able, I remember when you know, I have 25, probably more plus years of working with youth and being able to, I remember when I started to learn myself the power in which image does present. You know what I'm saying? So when I was younger, I remember when I used to have braids up to my chest, man, I was sitting there working with the little ones. Oh, I want braids like that. I want, and I'm like, you know, when you start getting older, you're like, damn, there's certain things that I can do, but at the same time, it's more powerful and stronger if I'm able to let them understand that the relatability comes once you understand your strengths. You know what I'm saying? So I can't tell you, Pearl Gates is my brother. You know what I mean? Like I met him in a high school hallway, and this is my brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter whatever he ever needs, no matter what the time is, give me a call, let me know. So when I see him shining the way he does, it's a proud, like that's something that you can't pay for. That's not monetary. You know what I'm saying? So to hear you say that you started 5 years ago is beautiful, because even at a certain age, you said, nah, I need to give back. I need to be able to, in a sense, like Ra was saying, if you haven't been in the classroom, if you haven't taught with youth, or Self was saying, when you don't have that experience, you don't understand the importance of that strength. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day before we was even here, it was all about teaching people, teaching the young ones how to fish, how to hunt, how to be able to bring forth food to their families. Once that stopped,
in KRS Cyber track, you must learn.
Exactly. And it's just kind of like when you have that ability to reach our youth in masses, then what, you know, I just watched one of my former students had his first fight in an MMA round. You know what I mean? I just watched that. You know what I'm saying? And just to see him, and you know, I told him, and if he's watching or not, I told him, yo, give me a call around this time or this time, because there's certain pointers that I want to give him. Like, it's not about your training. It's not about who's training you, but it's certain things that I seen that me knowing you as a youth, I know how you could get around certain things. You know what I mean? And it's just those, that's what we need more of. Our leadership, our supposed upper echelon, that mentorship is needed from ours, man, because if it's not coming from ours, it'll always be, you know, not to get too deep or philosophical, but we'll always keep on praying to the same picture of Jesus if that's all we know, until we start doing the questions and saying, yo, hold on, that Jesus don't sound right. That picture does not necessarily look like what he should look like based off of the description of where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? And as long as we keep on those lies and let those lies build and fester on themselves, our young will never fully understand, damn, we need to do this different. I can't wear Jordans on a Friday, but wear the two-piece suit from Monday to Thursday and still look fly and still look fresh and still reach hours. You know what I mean? So that's dope.
See, you touching on something that me and Rashaman talk about that I
No, go ahead.
Now because we talk about this all the time. Like he said, we be in the school programs, and you know, Words, you really spoke on this. And one thing I'll be trying to remind brothers is, as we undertake this, passing on the baton or the torch, that there's a difference between a baton and a torch. A torch, you light that torch, you go light another torch, you go light another torch, they light more, and they still running. A baton is type thing where you pass it on and you sit back, right? And there's some institutional colonized issues with the baton, because what it does is it can make you feel like Word said. He switched a generation in the classroom. When we go in the classrooms, we the OGs, right? But if I'm rocking with Cool Herc and he's 70-something and it's 2 a.m, and he got the Spelunk light on, still digging in the crates, and I see people coming in going out of hip-hop, I'm like, they haven't even started yet. You know what I mean? But we in a classroom, we're the elders. So the torch kind of lets us to continue just beginning as well. It's not a matter of just getting to a point where we barely get recognized, passing it on to somebody and feeling bad about ourselves. And also for our youth, them feeling like we're in the way. We're not in the way if we're doing like what y'all talking about, right? We're only in the way if not showing that love and that ability. When we listen to champion sounds, y'all said it several times, like Rashaman and Pearl Gates, so they got to do a track. I know me and Words got to do a track. Like when we listening to y'all, we're listening to us. We're like, okay, I could go back and take care of my daughter. I could go do this gig because he's doing the thing that I would be doing. There's no hate there. It's a torch. It's like we listen to y'all like champion sounds, SoundMinds. Run, brother, run. Keep that torch lit. You know what I mean? And that's not to like to make light of what you do or say that we do exactly what you do or that we could be lazy because you're doing it. Comment on the psychology is so messed up. We don't realize that we could all be rocking at the same time, and it's beneficial, right?
Well,
so,
I want to touch on I want to touch on how it comes full circle, family. Like it comes full circle because if you look at all five pictures right now, you know what I'm saying? I'm learning and looking at how our brother Light taught Pearl and seen Pearl when he was young. That was a great influence, and how I then come and I listen to, you know, Words and or the Champion Sound album, and like you said, it's like listening to ourselves, then coming to find out that they are also teachers in their way, teachers in the same form and getting in front of the classroom, making an impact and creating moments in the youth, you know, lives with music, image, and just the knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and just by carrying the torch, you know what I'm saying, and it just 100% comes full circle on looking at a platform right now of 5 brothers that do the work. You know what I'm saying? They say, where are they at? Where are the people that's doing the work out there? They're right here. Right here on this screen. There's 5 of us right here.
Yo, like you the Voltron head of the whole thing is in this image.
Now we all the Voltron head, man. But that's a dope way to segue. So we listen, man. We wordsmiths, B. We barbarians. You know what I'm saying? So I
was gonna say, can we segue into Wordsworth? You know what I mean? Experience. You know what I'm saying?
Because we gonna get into that. But I wanted to do
5 years of now teaching, but now let's go beyond the 5 years into, you know, the tours and the, you know, the Nickelodeon and everything.
I also definitely want to get into that, man. But I wanted to break down some of the things, man, because we are all lyricists, man. We are all, you know what I mean, wordsmiths. We all get that pen moving. By the way, and I just want to put that out there, man. Pearl Gates sings, rhymes, writes his own rhyme. Like, so I want to say that my brother is probably better than a lot of people's best names whose pen's been questioned.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that do what he do, you know what I mean? And Rashaman too. My man Rashaman pens and sings. But when I think about some of the greatest men and people who keep on being mentioned in the list of hip hop MCs, I'm like, yo, hold on, fam. Y'all bugging if you put in a dude whose pen's been in question when my brother's been doing it and hasn't been in question. So that's sidebar. But we just gonna get into bars, man. We gotta, you know, one of the things that I wanted to do, man, was kind of like go through some of these bars and this the Champion Sound album, man. Like,
and
Champion
post in
Sound
the comments if you think we need a track with these 5 people. If you think we need a SoundMinds Champion SoundMinds track, post in the comments.
Yeah, let's
if you're waiting for the beat to drop right now.
So real quick.
Best work.
So produced by
I know people
Quincy Tones.
That, so I just
produced by Quincy Tones. The album is fire.
Yes.
Couple of bars in here, man. The Champion Sounds featuring Cool G Rap. Words. Regulate, the streets hold court, the ghetto legislates, to settle hate, people pull metal larger than measure tape. My guy.
Yeah.
Yo, that measure tape joint, I said, damn. and the whole legislate. And if you can, man, build on that. Like what, for the most part, man, them bars.
Behind
you know what I'm saying? And
the bars. Behind
yeah,
the bars.
let's get it.
Yeah, you know how they say, like, no snitching, and that's how we grow up in this community is we handle everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that whole concept come from. The streets hold court, the ghettos legislate. That's how we do it that way. That's how we were taught to do it. That's why we're groomed that way. We're conditioned to handle everything that way. And that's where that idea just came from, just thinking like that. And that's really what that's about,
Which was fire, which was definitely fire, man. I need you to expound on this one.
Okay.
And then, my brothers had their own bars too. And then PG, I got to get to you, man.
I just want to say, like, my book that's dropping is based on my album New Beginning, and it's me doing this myself about the whole album.
That's fire.
Yeah, so that'll be out.
That's fire.
By the 20th.
Nah, that you
But the 20th of July?
Yeah, it'll be out by the 20th.
Doing this right now.
I'm actually waiting on the proof right now.
He said my book is dropping.
Yeah, the proof will be here tomorrow.
My book
and
dropping.
Exactly what we're doing is why I did the book. Because
congratulations on that, brother. Yeah, that's dope.
Typically,
that's dope.
We don't have.
Do y'all understand how many rap battles?
We don't have.
Just killed all y'all rappers. That's a rap battle.
This is how frequency works.
He just smacked you. I got a book.
This is how.
It doesn't matter what you said about my mom. I got a book. Get it together. July this month. He got a book. He just won like numerous battles.
It's a rap.
It's a
rap. It's a rap.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What I was saying is, we can't ask Shakespeare what he meant.
Yep.
We can't ask Biggie what he meant. We can't ask Pac what they meant. You know what I'm saying? So the whole concept of me doing this book is based on the fact that all of us that write, all these rhymes we've written over the years are already books. We just don't organize them. So that's what made me go about doing it. And I want to be able to elaborate on my words as opposed to a lot of these books I see, whether it's a book on Jay-Z, got Michael Dyson, there's a Nas book, Michael Dyson. He's elaborating, giving you a vision of their literary work without actually giving you it totally. He could probably be at maybe 95%, possibly what the meaning is. I'm 100% when you read it because it's me. So
exactly,
it's exactly what we're doing now. That's the book. It'll be out July 20th. But
and you know what's funny too?
My brother.
You know what's funny at the same time? Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say it's just crazy how the universe works. You know what I'm saying? Because like when we were talking about how we got 5 brothers on this platform, basically resonating at that same frequency. You know what I mean? And then he now talks about the book, and this is my book. This is my
congratulations, man.
Appreciate it. This is called The Battle to Know Thyself. This is a quote book off of my album, The Battle to Know Thyself. And
so, flexing.
You know what I'm saying? But what happens is what he said he's gonna do a full breakdown on the whole lyrics, which is what the part 2 of this will be, because at first this is just quotes, but now I want to break down the whole entire lyrics and organize all of the songs, the whole catalog and things of that nature. So it's just crazy. You just all you did was, now the torch is lit.
Yeah, you have
to.
You
know what I'm
Set
saying?
that concrete. You have to.
Yeah.
So we're not speculating what you meant. And then
right.
Then we get into this war of words later on.
It's like Pearl Gates said earlier.
You know what I mean? No speculating.
So it's a wrap.
Yeah. And then not only that too, man. Truth of the matter is, man.
I was saying, like what Pearl said earlier was the people who are like the victors or oppressors in history write the books. You know what I mean? So we learning basically the perspective of people who are justifying their crimes against us. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's so deep what you're talking about, you know. And I want to shout out our sister Jessica Caremore. She was a person that I saw that was like performing what we do and taking it into books and making us realize there's so many people who don't even listen to the venues we listen to, but they'll pick up a book and consider. I didn't even hear use words until I read it off the page.
Yes.
Exactly. And then for the most part, man, I think it's very important, man. And
my bad, like
nah, never that, brother, never. The fact that because remember back in the day, man, when albums came out, they came with the art, the book art and all that, and you was able to read who produced, who did that, and the third, and it's crazy, man. I mentioned it on the last track I just dropped, man, where I was saying how we pretty much don't have that. What we are now currently in is the world of streaming. So while you paying about the same or even more for something, you're getting less than what the value was back in the day when we used to sit there and wait for the two. Remember, albums used to drop on Tuesdays. You know what I'm saying? So you sitting there, you like, yo, I'm going to Bates. If you on the Lower East Side, I'm going to this. And, you getting those albums, but then you reading, yo, who are they thinking? What are they? Some people, if you bold enough, because you really a lyricist, you putting them lyrics right on your album. So I'm able to read the lyrics with you, and we don't have that no more. So it's important to do, something like that. And it's something I was thinking about doing too. So for instance, working on my own project, and one of my biggest things is I don't want it to just be streamed. I want the physical so that people could read it and be able to say, oh, snap, that's what he meant. It was a double entendre that I might have missed, or this, that, and the third. When you're doing something like this, Words is dope, because now what you're doing is you're opening the market to saying, yo, you could get my music, but here it is. You could also read exactly what I meant, or you could read. So I think it's needed, and it's a different door and platform that's being created due to the fact that they've taken some of the other things that we had before that we don't have no more. You know what I mean? So salute to you, brother.
Thanks, man. Like, it's exactly what I was saying. Like, it's also as I get older, author becomes more important than rapper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to make sure I start now, and then when I get through
that phrase, he wrote the book, is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called Volume 1, so I'm going to do every solo album. So
dope.
When I'm up there in that time, I'm going to be just natural progression and evolution. I'm going to convert to an elder, in which now I'm visiting universities and talking as the poet and author, also the rapper. So I got to make sure I'm aligning myself correctly to be as powerful as I can be as I evolve. So
and I'm not going. I'm gonna tell you from experience too, brother. This is not a selfish plug or nothing like that. I'm gonna tell you from experience. I wrote my first book at like 19. I think it was published by 2021. I was doing tours of school. They were teaching it in St. John's and BMCC.
Fire.
You know what I'm saying? And
that book
time for
fire.
peace. But it's no longer. I got to put out a new edition because it's been out for so long. But for the most part, man, it was being taught in BMCC and St. John's, man. And I go doing kind of what you're talking about now, doing the college tours and all that. And when I'm speaking, again, me being young, me mentally on some different, when you start getting the questions you get as an author, it's totally different from.
Light was always advanced, by the way, man.
Different.
So thank you, brother.
It's different.
It is.
It's different in the regards of also changing what's going on in the world, like what's going on with the movie now.
Right.
I get to come through the door with that title. It's almost like you're at the door and they say, "Who are you?" And I say that title, and they say, "All right, you come in." Now I'm in, about to get everybody else in. So next time somebody come to the door, they're gonna bring everybody in because I got in with that.
Speaking of which, I gotta holler at Pearl Gates real quick. Yo, Pearl. Is you and me the only two people on this call that don't have a book, my G?
Listen,
if you got a book too, I'm gonna be sick.
We might. I guess that's true, but we're gathering the information for that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
Life is an experience, and you put your experience down on paper. So
yep. And you writing your own novels already.
I'm not even gonna lie too. I went to when I was through the album and quotables, I googled Pearl Gates lyrics and I couldn't find your lyrics for this verse. So I'm gonna do it right now. You said so things in this verse that I like the parts I heard and I couldn't even understand some of the words. I need you to break it down and this is another reason why we need books. Like sometimes you on the same wavelength, but it's like if I seen this word, I would be even more empowered. Like I only got like 3/4 of the gem and I was already lit. You was talking about first of the month. It's already time for the re-up. It's hard to see up looking from poverty. What was the bars there, bro? I swear you said some words and I was like, that's an English word and I don't know what it is. I know it's English. I'm speaking this language.
Facts.
I'm a barbarian and dude's time off the planet. You did that numerous times on the album. Like words, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Me, like we've been doing it for longer. We got to the point where it was like lyrical, miracle, spiritual in the swimming pool, and we saw that people wasn't getting us. So sometimes we go too much to like, this is the point. That you know what I mean? Am I right, words? You know what I'm talking about?
You know, we had to learn how to be simply clever.
Right.
You know? So it was an adjustment because if you think about when we were doing it at that time, the game was still kind of new. So it took a learning. It was a learning. So like definitely it took me time to become like finding the balance, you know. So it's a balance, you know. I did want to get back to Light because I know
now you got people that actually listen, they appreciate us.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, finish Light.
Nah, who me? In regards to the ball. Nah, C's. Go ahead, PG. What you remember those balls that he's talking about?
Yeah, that was on the Kweli album. I mean on the record, I'm sorry. And that joint, the lyrics are every single first of the month, the rent money's past tense, now the re-up. Stuck on level 1, hard to see up. Blinded by classism. So Calabasas trips, meaning, you know, trips to the, you know, West Coast trips, Calabasas trips, unravel mental traffic, studying truth and that ain't getting nothing but my ass to kiss. Not an activist, but lies on lies, developing your horizon, nestling enterprises, enter your centralized antennas, desensitizing better instead of nonsense. Never neglect your conscience. Best protect your options. You know what I'm saying? So like that like I'm a street dude that also was a low-key nerd. You know what I'm saying? So like with my people, like I could relate to a dude that's still chill on the block, right? Like heavy, but at the same time, you know, with that type of individual, because they lost faith in the system a long time ago, right? In most systems, right, that they were enforced upon. Like you got to serve it up a certain way to even pique their interest or to get them to wonder for themselves, you know. And one of those things I like to incorporate in the rhymes is you know, vocabulary, in the sense that like maybe you might not have heard this word or might not have used this word in this way. And I like the fact that sometimes it's confusing. Like people be like, yo, that joint was crazy. What'd you say? Right? Because I maintain the integrity of the flow and the structure, but really it's an invitation to dive.
That's me right now.
Your word. Yeah. It's an invitation to dive deeper. And
what did you say after that? Best protect your options.
Best protect your options. Whatever is her design, her essence where I get mine. Forever in debt with time, my niggas respect the grind. To the day I own every fear I have of flying.
What?
To Zion. Fuck your first class seat, I'm flying.
That's what you said?
Yo,
that's what you say.
Let me tell you, I've texted him driving with that, and I was like, yo, this last verse is fire. I've hit him before. And then let me tell you, when he laid that verse down and we got the song done, my next thing was I gotta send it to Kweli to get his view on it. Once I sent it to him, I was excited to send it to him with Gates' verse on it, because I already know how Gates is. So it's just dope to be able to send it to him and introduce him in a way to hearing Gates for the first time. Like, yo, this is the finished song. So send that to him. And once he said that's a go, that to me in itself, I think was also a way that, you know, if Gates, you know, I think he may have met Quali or whatever, it's able to go, yo, I'm on that song Word. He could be like, yo, that verse, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's how confident.
Met him, you know, last year, and I got to personally thank him, you know, for being on the album, you know, because obviously we weren't together recording it at the time. And he was like, "Oh man, that joint was super dope." You know, we took pictures, we picked it up. You know, it was nice to get that respect from someone that, you know, that in my ear, you know, years ago was like, "Where were you the day hip hop died?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and kept that in me. Like, nah, it can't. We can't let it. You know what I'm saying? We have to continue to as we all alluded to. You know, carrying the torch.
Yeah, you
carrying
like
the torch.
torches.
Yo, so
we gonna
carrying the torch,
so
and
PG,
you
I got
lighting
one more. I
torches.
got one more alley oop off of that too. You know, and so Pearl Gates, in the interview you said, everything you touch, you put love in it. So now let's tap into your bars and say, like, can you break down a gun bar that you've said with love in it?
Well, like the gun bars is interesting because, like, for example, my Live from the First album, right? That album was a journey.
Live from the First.
Yeah,
fire.
That
Reporting live from the First.
That album was a real journey.
Y'all call the Heights the first borough? Like, what did that mean, by the way?
Now the first.
What did that mean? The first.
The first.
Because in the LES, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, the LES, we call it like the sixth borough, like.
Well, the first is actually 181st. That's the block, which is like the Times Square for Washington. Okay. Like, to be real with you. So when I say first, I mean live from the heart of my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And just in terms of traffic, like you know, significance in business, right? Just you know, the streets, really, because like that's just an intricate part of human commerce and movement, right? And so when I say live from the first, I'm saying live from the heart of my neighborhood. But just that album, right? That was a journey. And even during that time of creating and that album, I was in a dark place in my life, and I was really in the streets at that time.
Which is why you heard more street. The more you go back, the more you hear more street rap.
Yes, but that was with a purpose, because it goes back to what I was saying, right? Like when the system has failed you, and you give up on that, right? There's not much to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So like those things, not only was I living it, but it was an intricate plan from beginning to end of that album, because as you go through that album, but as you're going to the end, it starts turning. Yeah. Like the vibe is turning, the mind is opening, right? And it's becoming more introspective, and I like to think of it as it goes from darkness to light. And the reason for that is because, like, that album I made, you know, at its core, I was expressing my experiences, right, and trying to connect with people on a real level. But it was really meant for the people that are stuck in those dark spaces, right? I invite them in through a language that they understand, and if they still with me, then I could take them across the bridge. Like, oh, I came out of that into something different. You know, and that was really the goal. So the love is in the gun bars, in the sense that, oh yeah, I'm from where you from too. Like I know how to do that. Yep. But check this out. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like playing possum. It's almost like you draw them in, you know, with a you know, clap them with the whatever. I don't even, you know.
I kind of like saying it's showing both sides. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm showing both sides. Like I'm not.
I mean, for real, because
naive. I'm done from the other side. Like I ain't gonna act like I ain't come from that just because now I know how to articulate myself better.
Yes, and you know, I was really living that and expressing it because of that, but also I knew there was light at the end of the tunnel. I knew there's a better life. I knew you could still be a hustler and just not hustle drugs, right?
Right.
You could still be yourself. You just need a different platform, you know. And a lot of dudes from my neighborhood, like, you know, I grew up with dudes that like they not going 5 blocks away because their man had beef with somebody from that block, so they don't leave their block, you know. And I was blessed to be able to see parts of the world that I would have never seen if it wasn't for music, you know. So I try to bring it back and say like, okay, this is where we at. We in the trenches, but you know, lift your head above the ground and see, and like there's actually, you can actually jump out of this trench if you want.
SoundMinds to that. Word up. Yo, so we're gonna Words.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back to PG, man, because there's some joint in here, B, on a whole different level that I don't think a lot of people even touched upon. Words, live on air.
Yeah.
Very simple ball, brother, but I need you to expound on it.
What are you gonna do? Baby mama money?
No. I like that. You know, the way you came on that verse though was crazy, because that whole is either jail cell or what you said is either the jail cell or the King's Throne. You know what I mean? That first joint, that was crazy. You know what I mean? But I had to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Too many lanes. This game is filled with more characters than Comic-Con. Please expound on that, brother. And I know it's simple, and I know it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so deeply needed. You know what I'm saying?
Say it again slowly so we can really hear it.
Too many lanes. This game is filled with more characters than Comic-Con.
Yeah. You know, if you're a video game person, comic book person, pop culture person, you know, it pop culture has expanded to so much, man, from going to buy clothing, and when you're in that same clothing store, they got statues that's $300 and things like that. And a lot of those things are vended and then vended tables at Comic-Con where people are dressed up like different characters, from Mario, all these things, the Batman. It's so many different characters there that, you know, people go all out to dress up and wear all this makeup and things like that to go there, and you can see comic books. You get people to sign and autograph stuff. So that's pretty much what it is. It's just too many people that's acting and dressing up and not really the real thing. And it's too many characters.
And it's kind of like a very double entendre type of question that I asked, right? Because again, it's simple, right?
Right.
The wording is simple, but the concept is so deep, just based off of the fact that there's so many people dressed up and acting parts and playing roles that when you like, yo, fam, you're not that person, B. You're not that dude and never been. So how is it that you dressed up as, like you said, a Harley Quinn? And, you know, and especially if you're of a certain age where you like, yo, you still trying to be that impressive? You still trying to play a certain part just to be applauded? It's crazy to me. And when I heard that, I was like, damn, there was so much. Go ahead, Rob, my fault. Go ahead, baby.
Yo, hold up. You threw me the alley-oop. I'm about to slam dunking with this. Because the whole character aspect, once again, just doing my research on the brother, he also spoke on, you know, characters. Like I said, I agree with you saying that there's a place for depending on the song and the person / character. And I said a lot of artists are coming out. A lot of artists that come out are younger. They have the young vibe. And I said, what do you say to grown men over 30, 40 living the rapper character of a young lifestyle?
I mean, yeah, I got a song called Keep Rocking. If you get a chance, check out this song called Keep Rocking.
Fire track, fire.
Let's go.
On my album, Our World Today. That joint explains the generational thought and aspect that comes into being us. From, you know, it could be 20, 30, 40. Your expectations of when you started rapping or whatever you're aspiring to be is that you'll always be it forever.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And a lot of that, it stems from what Gates said, like not living out of desperation. You know, and that's very deep when it comes to a lot of this stuff overall, right? If you If you're rapping, you could be rapping and still at home and never got a job since you was 20, 30 because you wanted to rap so much, you still believe it's gonna happen.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Then you just out of desperation may start doing some wild stuff and things of that nature, but also not. I think the main thing that I learned and I think helps move everything forward is just self-awareness and being where you are, right? So in regards to me understanding what I write and what I do and what I've accomplished, my thing is also to not get beside myself when I'm asked about stuff and where to do stuff and what I'm doing. So what I mean by that is I'll talk to somebody that may have a rep that's below mine in some regards, and they're ready to press up thousands of copies of an album, thousands. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that. You know, I'm saying like, the way I learned is I understand where I'm at. So what we're going to do, we're going to press this amount, sell that and flip it as opposed to, but sometimes the ego says, let me press up 1,000 copies, you know? And then the ego and the self-awareness doesn't check them that they have nowhere to sell the 1,000.
Right.
Ego.
Comfortability of the skin, man.
Ego is
comfortability of the skin is deep.
That's the key. That's the key.
Do this
right
whole interview. Yo, SoundMindsHipHop.com.
You know,
SoundMinds.
Yes, sir.
I think that.
Yes, sir.
I think that helps a lot.
SoundMindsHipHop.com.
Yeah.
Our podcast is the greatest podcast.
I think that helps a lot with me and Gates as far as we're very middle. We're not hot or cold.
I'm just saying, like, Wordsworth been winning battles through this whole thing.
And you know, I think it really comes down to
just dropping gems. While politely just dropping gems, he's taking people's heads off. This is how you know he came from the street battling, where you had to come off the top. And I was there, you know what I mean? That's how I met Words. And Words would be in the LES too. Words been everywhere, like
definitely.
Like
New Eureka and
I'm
all
just
that.
a fan too. I'm an MC and I'm a podcaster, but I'm a fan. I understand, like, these two barbarians here is crazy. And if you don't understand, he's actually giving y'all lessons right now. He's giving you advice. He's saving you money. He's giving you career advice. But he's saying, where you can't disagree and be like, that's not cool, because he just slaved your life at the same time.
I think, thank you, man. But the main thing that I want people to get from this, honestly, is that's why me and Gates get along. Like, Gates does a lot of stuff musically, right? He has the ability to do everything, acting, triple threat with everything. But he doesn't lose the sense of time and knowing that he needs to be prepared for whatever. You get what I'm saying? So like I said, he has an associates, but then Gates is also working on other things that will secure his future while music is there. I think the lost gem in the whole thing is a lot of times you think if you're not working your job and doing this and that, you won't have time for music, when it's actually the opposite. You actually would find time for music. So you have to have the realization of understanding where you are, so that way you don't hurt down the line, because not everybody's going to get on, but you can still be just as comfortable. You can be just as comfortable without rapping, if you just do what you got to do. So I like to put the realistic situation out there, because I've been everywhere, high, low, everything. So I'm at peace with me being honest about
who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the beauty of it. It's kind of like, at the end of the day, what you're talking upon is comfort of skin, man. You know what I mean? And when you of certain level of mentality and spirit, like, you don't care about the acceptance of others, in which you have to kind of like dig for. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, yo, I am who I am, respectfully, and I'm going to respect everybody in their own circles and lanes. But at the same time, when you're comfortable within your own, you don't need the feeling of, yo, I need that applause. You know what I mean? So please watch me dance around the room just to get your applause. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's deep, man. A lot of people are dealing with inner demons that they just hate within themselves. And thus you see that when they're daily, how they maneuver and how they move is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you touched on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Real quick, PG, we're going to go quickly with this one. It's 3 bars. Words. I went through all your joints, B. You are a dragon, brother. You know what I mean? I just want to put that out there. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for what you do. PG, you too, man. And 3 things, man. All in live on air. First one, I'm going to get out the way. Simple. It was just a little play on. I love it. They're raving for the Flacco. I'm not even going to ask you about that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even going to ask you about that. It's very simple. And if people didn't get it, you lost out on the whole track, right? Now, I'm going to bounce, and then I'm going to ask you about this other one. But first, I'm going to get into the joint when you finish that verse. Palm Smithsonian, roam like Pontius. Pilot, I'm the pie that fly. Thoughts rule my conscience. Come on, man. Come on, B. That's unfair. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then this bar right here, and I think it's so much deeper than a bar, especially with what we're going through right now. Simple, B. You said God told Adam, don't you ever eat the apple, a bitten one on my phone.
Woo, that line is crazy.
Yo, it's you know, and I'm gonna say why I feel it's so disgusting. So many people are out there getting iPhones. So many people are out there, this, that, and the third. You have an apple, a bitten apple on your joint, right? When this dude said God told Adam, this is the original sin. Don't you ever eat the apple, a bitten one on my phone. The fact that we are talking about the original sin, and then you see the pandemic and everything that's going on, and we carrying the original sin in our pockets on some, yo, I need that new iPhone, but we are where we are now because a person committing one of the evilest sins in population control, and we're carrying the Batman sign of that person. That right there, that ball, I heard that
need to be on shirts. That joint is so fire. Need to be on like one of the joints you walk in your house. You got the joint on.
Disgusting word.
Ridiculous.
I remember,
PG, please tell me what you was thinking.
I remember when I was writing that joint, before I started writing, I think like that thought came first than anything. I was just looking at my phone because a lot of times I get in the element, in the zone, and you know, I allow myself to be a vessel for something greater than myself, and you know, I'm a vessel at that given point for a message that is, you know, is not necessarily entirely of my own. I am just the instrument that's being utilized, and you know, looking at my phone, I'm like, I think it's very interesting that they chose a bitten apple as the logo. It could have been a full apple. You know what I mean? It didn't have to be bitten. And so I feel like it's you know, again, not to get too deep or philosophical, right?
It's a rap. You did. It's a rap.
The powers that be, you know, and you know, these rituals that are being played upon us, right, on the daily. It's just a taunt. It's like a taunting, and for me, like, you know, at this point, stage in the game, you even gotta look beyond that to other levels of it, because also, you know, there's no reversing where we are, right? Like we just are where we are, and you know, to placate different stories. For example, Paul, right? The disciple of Jesus was previously Saul, and Saul was a murderer. You know what I'm saying? And still got to that point of being a disciple. And my point being is that, you know, light is most useful in the darkness, right? So, you know, at the end of the day, we are carrying this, and the problem is not that we're carrying the bitten apple. The problem is that our lack of awareness of it. Right. And so that line was just me shedding light on that, and like letting people be like aware, like, yo, kind of wake up. You know what I'm saying? Because you just get caught in a loop and you're not even aware of your actions, and a lot of people would be unhappy with the results of their life, but not looking at the cause and effect. You know what I'm saying? And the connections of everything that leads to every outcome. You know, so that line, it was a subtle, like, I'm here, I'm in the trenches again, right? And like, yo, I'm aware, but I'm gonna keep it moving. You know,
I'm aware, but I'm aware. Like,
you know what I'm saying? You ain't catching me sleeping.
Right. Yeah, no, you know what?
You moving in my environment.
You took it there with that line, man. Light skin, man. Wow. Go.
Yeah, it's you know what's crazy?
Good one.
I think at the end of the day, when you because we technically, right, it's I think I said this before, man. Yeah, SoundMinds to that, man. And I think I think it might have been last week's episode where I was talking about how lyrics always matter, man. And our job as wordsmiths, our jobs as anybody, an MC or moving crowds, but also touching minds. When like you said, we are vessels, and how we choose to be used is based off of our integrity and morale. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can easily, like we were talking about puppets last week, where we got a whole bunch of people sitting there, talking about drinking lean and lighting up and getting sour, and if that's your reason for the message that you're sending is that's of importance to you, then dope. I can't respect the fact that you're not utilizing your talent. If you have talent, a lot of people don't. But if you have talent, that you're not utilizing it to uplift outs and empower outs. You know what I mean? So it's certain balls like this, and there's certain things, like I said, words, when you started that first on Live on Air, when you said either the cell or the throne, I'm like, yo, it's funny, as a person, as a man of color, that is what we're faced with. That is our decision. We decide, all right, are we going to go get locked up, or am I going to be a king? You know what I'm saying? And
throne or a prison.
A throne or a prison. There you go. Yeah. And just kind of like for the most part, the decision that we deal with on a daily basis to say, yo, am I going to be a leader or am I going to be a follower? Am I going to add on to the numbers of disgust for my people? Or am I going to sit there and be more than the 2% that we were talking about and teaching outs?
And
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
to add to that, you could be a leader in the wrong way and a follower.
And these are being dropped lyrically, musically, hard hitting bars. Like this is basically like stuff that if you try to tell someone, they'd be like, get out of here. I don't want to hear this. But you saying it within a lyrical tactician paradise. You know what I mean? Like, people keep saying it's live on the first is simple. That wasn't the word that came to mind. Like, my perception was different from y'all because the first chorus, I couldn't even tell if it was a chorus because the chorus is like aqueduct flows, blah, blah. The chorus is insane. The chorus is like a history math book in like 2 bars. Like, what? To this, I don't know all the words. Like, I'll be trying to say, I'll be like, and then I could say like 3 words in it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You know what I mean? Like, it makes you listen.
Yeah, check it out. So, the name of that track originally was called Chef because it was supposed to go to Raekwon. So it was called Chef Up. So when you hear how grimy it is, you kind of hear that kind of RZA-ish vibe. And then when we were demoing, when it was called Chef Up, you know what I'm saying? And that was the vibe when I was like, yo, it just reminded me of some like Raekwon rhyming vibe. So when you kind of hear even a hook in a way, what we know Ghost and Ray for was coming up with they style, and it has that lingo that you may understand and you may not get it.
Right.
Which in regards to Gates understanding that even goes with photograph. Man, leaving things on there. There's some lines I don't understand. And Gates said, yo, that's kind of the vibe on some of this stuff. And I was like, all right, let's run with it. So just understanding sonically what sounds good, despite whether you understand it or not, is a gift in itself. Because live on air sounds crazy, the hook, and Lily sounds crazy.
See, there's so many moments where you...
But I did want Gates to break down the chorus because even me...
I mean, there's so many moments...
Yeah.
So I would say, like...
There's so many moments where you were saying, like...
Yeah, his delay is crazy. Hold up.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, so as far as the live on air chorus, right? Like that was the vibe, right? It was Chef Up. It was a record. It was originally for Raekwon, and we wanted to keep that vibe of that thought process of like, you know what I'm saying, purple tape, kind of like that slang that only Raekwon can do, right? Right? Where it's like sometimes I understand, sometimes I gotta run it back a few times, but really, so the chorus says, "Aqueduct flows tell the folk tales of tote tags from gold rails, acting wild coming out their gold grills."
Yes.
So
Hold on. Break it. Say it again.
Aqueduct flows tell the folk tales of tote tags from gold rails, acting wild coming out their gold grills. Right? So really the aqueduct flows, and this is going back to just because I'm a nerd, right? But in my neighborhood, right, there's a bridge called the High Bridge, and it's the oldest bridge in New York City. It's a pedestrian. It's one of the limited pedestrian bridges in the city, right? Where it's only people can walk through it, right? But underneath that bridge is where the magic is, because underneath that bridge is an aqueduct, and that aqueduct was the first aqueduct in New York City that brought clean water to Manhattan. And so, but on a flip side, right? It's my hood, it's my neighborhood. So when I say aqueduct flows, it's like flows like the stories of my neighborhood.
Right.
So aqueduct flows tell the folk tales of tote tags from gold thrillers who acting crazy, coming out their mouth, getting clapped up and murdered, right? Yeah. Then I say clap you like, oh well, killers shoot the 5. Like killers really, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these dudes that claim they killers, they just pull a gun, right? They're not really built like that to go in the trenches. So I'm like, killers shoot the 5 by the wholesale, meaning when they buy the wholesale, like, they do business, right, on that level, on the macro level. Right. So by the wholesale, live on air know how with wholesale. So like it got.
What up, Lucy?
But it was a big reflection of my personal influence that Wu-Tang had on me, because like I said, Triumph was the reason I even found the pen, right? So that's amazing. Gun in your mouth talk, verbal foul hawk, connect thoughts that make chow walk. Like
your chow walk.
But this is what I'm words. I could see Wordsworth smiling when you spitting, you know what I mean? And this is the whole thing about the divisiveness between someone that got the torch first and someone's getting the torch next. They be making it seem like, yo, get out the way, don't get a chance. When you spit ridiculous technical tactician stuff like that, it ain't like the way, no beef. It's like, thank you. You know what I mean? It's a certain point where you go in schools, you go in ciphers, and there's always that one kid like Pearl Gates that makes you be like, not only glad I'm teaching and still doing this, I need, before I come back to this classroom or this park, is spitting. Like, it ain't nothing about like, hey, get out of the way, like,
breaking up.
Give me a chance. Like, he knew. Word said, went to John to Ali, it was like Kwali's gonna be like, oh, thank you. I want to be involved with this young man coming on the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Just to add to that, like, it's no small task being on a record with words. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like to think of it as I was lucky to not be up on his catalog like that, because I would have been overwhelmed.
Sharpening swords, though. Y'all just sharpening swords, which is beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? I'd have been nervous. I'd have been like, yo, this is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I had to go back to it on my own after getting to know him, or like from the idea, from that moment that we were working on the idea. I'm like, let me get to know the people in my camp. And I mean, like, Wordsworth is the most fitting name for him. Like he's just a magician in that sense. And I was so happy and proud to be a part of this project because of the fact that he respected my opinion, being such
I'm glad you made the full album.
right?
Yeah.
You know, being at that level and respecting my opinion and my craft. And so it allowed me to be Magic Johnson to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
bring us home the ring. I'ma just play.
Hey, the whole time you like, I got you, big bro.
Yeah. And if I gotta hit that hook shot, you know what I'm saying, for the game winner, I'm gonna hit it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it takes the pressure off of my game in terms of like I gotta carry the whole thing. It's more like, okay, I got a great player next to me. I could do my thing, but now I'm thinking about how can I finesse. Now you think about the icing on the cake. How can I add the flavor, because I don't gotta worry about this possession. You know what I'm saying? This possession is gonna be, we gonna manufacture points.
Right. And you know, it's crazy that you say that, man. And this is my last comment or question in regards to tracks on the album, man. Words, you brought up Photograph.
Yeah.
Yo, the fact that y'all went back and forth telling two perceptions in one story is so crazy to me. Like, you know what I mean? To be able to tell that, yo, this is my girl, and now she's messing with my man, and now I'm thinking I'm about to murk homeboy, but that's my brother. And then to get the second part of that story where it's like, yo, while you was locked up, I was taking care of your family and we got close, and it's deep because it happens so much, you know what I'm saying? Which taboo, people won't talk about it. But to see that back and forth between that Magic and Kareem moment, you know what I'm saying? Where it was just like, yo, let's get together on one story and parallel this, align it so that we could talk on it. And then, like I said, Lily, man, never met her, don't know her. This is my first introduction to her.
Right.
Yo, her voice is so crazy, but I gotta also ask you, and please expound on that as well. I gotta also ask you, man, just personally, that flute at the end, is that live?
Yeah, I think that is. I think that is.
Yo, that was ugly. Yeah.
It is. I could probably look in the credits and tell you, because we got everybody named in the credits and
okay.
And so forth. But I think that is Quincy Tones.
Right.
Like, of course we got the beats, but then once we lick vocals and send it to him, we had the album done way before. I would say much before, but him saying, "Now I got to go get a choir." We like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Man, I got somebody coming in to the studio to play this instrument. The keys are live. Right. This is live. Right. It just, you know, that attention to detail from him, it took the whole. That's my best produced album I look at totally.
It was crazy.
The fact of how it's put together. The other fact is that it flawlessly allows me to merge Gates' generation along with me. You know, him, you know, me trusting Gates to spearhead the situation with whatever he said, I was 100% with. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So that in itself, the production, Gates' opinion on having a vision of what's going on currently and what the future is from having history, right? And things like that. Just sonically, it just came out phenomenally because of that fact of live instrumentation. So yeah,
can I expound on that question? Can I expound on that question and ask, you know, speaking about the Photographs song, and also it comes across on a lot of other songs or verses that
it's very soulful.
There's a lot of storytelling. Right. Now the question about the storytelling, how much of it is real stories, you know, from life experiences, or is it you're being that creative in creating a storyline and stories?
Yeah, it's really whatever the feeling is. So it's never. I think you have to be willing to be able to take yourself out of your body to have longevity.
There you go.
If like, I gotta be able to write as the mailman. You get what I'm saying? Like, it just is what you know. When I was in college, I read this book. It's so crazy. I found it recently too for somebody that wanted to know what it was. Some Wallace though. But anyway, in that book, it said to be the best writer, you have to know how to emulate everybody's style.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? And the best storyteller have written movies. They're not.
That made me think about Last Emperor's Secret Wars.
Yeah, they're not. You know, these people aren't in the movies that wrote the movie. They writing novels, best storyteller. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to remove yourself from it, and then you also have to find, if the track does hit you, what elements of your life can you put in there? And sometimes it's a mix of both. Yep. You know, it's a mixture. Definitely. It's a mixture. So that's my perspective from me writing always.
Okay. SoundMinds to that gym right there.
Yeah, SoundMinds, man, that's dope.
SoundMinds.
Channeling.
Yeah, go ahead, PJ. Huh? Channeling. Yeah. That's one thing. When I was in junior high, I was in a law and ethics class, and they said the best lawyers are those that are able to defend and the ones that are able to throw down the other side of the story. You know what I mean? Because you got to know, just as every boxer, you got to learn how to hit, but you also blocking too. So you got to learn every side of the game to be able to be the most efficient. So that's fire. Yeah.
And to take it further is that's what allows me and Gates to write records for other things that have nothing to do with our music. So we're able to write stuff for a TV show or a film because we have the ideology of understanding that this doesn't have to be our personal thing. So it has to be something that people can understand mutually from whoever university. So that's
a lot of people don't know. We got records on Criminal Minds. We got records on Power. You know what I mean? We're in the culture in many different ways, and I think it's a tribute to that.
And just so people don't, real quick, my fault, Rob. So people don't let that slip. The brother said they have records on Criminal Minds, the TV show.
Right.
And Power, the TV show. Everybody knows Power. So that's a whole different level. So I just didn't want nobody to miss that and be like, what is he talking about, Criminal Minds? What is that? Yeah. The TV shows. And they got records in there.
Currently, I got music in a movie St. Judy that's on Stars right now. You know, and I mean, it just goes on.
Can I expound on that?
It's that understanding. You know what I'm saying? It's that understanding of, all right, we need to write this record, make it for this. You know, so
can I ask? A two-part question. Number one, can you drop some gems on how to actually get placements? In a sense, like what connections do you need to get placements? Number one, and number two. Yeah, that one. I can't even figure out the next one.
Well, I have a publishing administrator. So I have someone that's in charge of all my publishing as far as collecting my money. And I've been with her. I think I've been with her for maybe 15, 20 years, maybe or so. Wow. So if anything comes out or you play a record, you do anything with my records, she can send you a letter. You know what I'm saying? So all my stuff is registered, and so she tracks if something is played or somebody buys it, she's able to get that money for me and bring it in. So just being organized, one, that's what I would say. Just to sum all that up, you got to be organized. I've been organized since 90s, since 96, 90. I would say 98. I've been registering my songs. You know, I started on my own doing it, but that
and you saying nation is a organization. That's powerful too, because a lot of people think organization means how to have this system for themselves, but delegation is key, right?
I mean just organization of your work. Like some people, as far as producers, they be losing tracks. They don't know what the stems are. They don't, you know, you can't find this rhyme and all of this. And all that plays a part into the fact of me having that publishing administrator. I have my ducks in a row when I do a song. So I'm able to give it to her. She's able to pitch it. And to be honest with you, a lot of the times you have about 45 minutes to make a decision. And I'm not around. And sometimes that decision is also based on the fact they need the lyrics. So if you don't have the lyrics typed up, then on top of that, who else is on the record? If you don't have their BMI, you gotta have everybody's BMI, everybody's real name. It's a huge thing. And me believing in Gates, I alley-oop that to Gates, and then Gates now has a situation like that too with the same person. So we both have that. So he's had music in what show you had music in last year?
Queen Sugar. It was directed by Ava DuVernay. So
wow,
very
understanding the organization.
That's like an Oprah Winfrey show.
Yeah, it's on Oprah network.
That it takes like, you know, the average person that I meet a lot of times, to be honest with you, dudes love to play me music and then they got no BMI, ass cap, or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Then they're working on albums, and the next thing I ask them is,
shout out to CSAC too.
CSAC, yeah. And a lot of times they don't have.
You know they getting sued now. Eminem's Cadillac is suing Harrox right now. That's for another day.
That's a whole nother thing that I got to stay in tune on that. But just meeting them and not knowing how to organize the fact so they can get paid when it's played. So and then foreseeing the issues they'll have. Right? So if you look at a lot of the big records that came out, let's say, you know, with Nas X with the Old Town Country Road, and even let's look at what's some of them other records that came out anyway. It's always sold by some kid that sells it to him for $40, but then down the line, it's an issue because they don't understand. Yo, I got to get this agreement signed with him and understand the organ. It's so, you know.
That's another thing too. Adding to your point, you know, original music, right? Because especially from our culture, we love to sample and stuff, and there are ways that you can get the clearance and do those things if you're organized, right? But to avoid those hurdles early on, especially in TV and film, if you want to, you know, not have troubling conversations or conversations that end up with, unfortunately, we can't because, right? You know, just have original music, like set aside music in that way.
I'll give you another key to that too. Is there's a whole bunch of songs that I do that have nothing to do with my albums that are given to my publishing administrator to pitch. So I'm that's another mindset that I have or Gates have. So me and Gates will work on records that we're like, this has nothing to do with necessarily for our project, but it sounds like this and it may fit here. So we're not stuck on making every song for ourselves at all. We're stuck on making money from making music. So this song fits here. Let's throw it in that bag. So you kind of got to be able to compartmentalize what you're making music for.
Oh, now I remember my follow-up question.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Like I look at you know, both of you brothers as having successful rap careers, right? And I would, from your experience, what is the threshold between a mainstream success and a career success?
Well, I do want to answer this because it was something I had to learn on my journey, right? So a few years back, I was actually an A&R at Penalty Entertainment. You know, which dropped Nori's first album, right? CNN. I mean, the list goes on, right? And I was actually an A&R during the time that EMC, which is Words, Master Ace and Strickland's group, were dropping an album on the label. And I had gotten the position while I was on tour with Prime, which is Roy 5'9" and Primo, right?
Primo, yep.
And so now I'm having this commercial perspective right in my head, right? Because I'm dealing in I'm the lead A&R and I'm scouting talent, right? And there's a metric system that we're kind of looking for, and I'm touring with an independent group that was, I believe, top 10 in sales at that time. and they were on the charts independently. And so now I'm putting these things together in terms of, okay, it's the same problem that as a society, but more importantly, our community, right, of Black and brown people in general, that like when we're aiming, when we have our goals, right, our goals are geared toward the 1%. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's LeBron James, it's Michael Jordan or nothing. You know what I mean? And so I've been a victim of that mentality up until that point, and I'm seeing, wait a second, like there is a whole 99% that we're not accounting for, right? And you know, of that 99%, there's gonna be people that don't find the success, or you know, for whatever reason they don't make it to a certain caliber. But then there's a large percentage that have a career and a fruitful career. You know what I'm saying? And I had to get over that. I had to realize like I can be successful and not be LeBron James.
Talk to me.
I mean, and so I think more of our people need to understand that. Like, because then ultimately, that's what helps me become Pearl Gates and not somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I carve my own lane and my own version of success, and then in turn, I'm an example for other people in that way. Like, okay, these are other ways you can, you know, carve your lane.
Drop the mic.
This
is a college class in a book. If someone transcribed this right now, it'd be a book. Like I want to see. We can't hold you all day. We definitely. First of all, everybody at home clap. I know you at home, but I need y'all to clap. I need to know y'all clapping because this is our 10th episode talking about anniversary. This episode we never had any guests, and you can't fault us for starting with this powerhouse as our first guest.
Salute to that.
If you didn't know, now you know. If you did know, it surpassed expectations. There's 3 things that we wanted to get on that we might have to say for next time, but I'm gonna just say them. Women and relationships, since we're all guys on this class, on this class. Class now. The podcast class students that you have tuned in. There will be no homework. We'll be quizzed in but relationships, right? Like was saying earlier, y'all definitely talk about relationships. Y'all are open book. We got to build with y'all either now or next time. Freestyle, obviously, we got to build. Wordsworth. People know me as like a great freestyle. People always compliment my freestyles. The event I was doing today, I got some compliments. Words, in my opinion, nobody could freestyle better than him. And I know I'm talking about there's a few people in this category. Seaways World, Supernatural. Wordsworth is one of those people. You know what I mean? Breeze Ever Flowing. Like, it's certain people that you cannot freestyle better than. Wordsworth is one of those. Like, he's one of those. You can't freestyle better than him. I can't. And then the third thing is collaboration. This era, not only in the modern day, not only with everybody having technology, but especially in the pandemic and the quarantine and people not feeling safe, how do you collaborate long distance? So we got something about freestyle, we got something about relationships, we got something collaborating long distance, do things like filthy one, because my delay been the craziest on this cast. I got jokes in the comments. But those let's try to touch on those a little bit. I would say we got to start on women, because us being all men on the call, it's only right that we salute to the women. How does this play a part? You talked about the creative process, going in the zone, unconscious things. You talk about weather, her design. How and Words, probably you got most experience in us. How do you sustain a long-term career and be in a real relationship? Because a lot of times being a man in a relationship does mean at the drop of the dime, you just stop and do other things, but then you trying to be organized and not professional. What is something to say about that? If we could just touch on that until next time.
I don't know if most people relationships are like mine, but I've been with my wife since I started rapping pretty much. Like she was out there doing those ciphers that I had with you. So that gives you an idea how long and I met her singing. she sings, so she understands kind of the grind. I met her in college, and she used to come up there and sing for different organizations, and then she would go home. So I lived on campus. So at one point, me being known on campus, she asked me to rap with her doing her singing event she would come up there and do. So she kind of already understood the business and the journey of it. So it made it a lot more easier for me as far as where I'm at with it to this day.
Okay.
So she understands it totally. And that's why if you even listen to the album, she's on most of my albums and things that I do. Most of the stuff I do
fire.
With like the music from that I was talking about, the St. Judy movie, she's on that hook. She's on I got something on Netflix right now on Peabody and Sherman. She's on that. She's on the album, she's on the albums here and there doing different things. So it's really powerful. I think it's really her understanding.
So you don't kind of have to have a woman's intuition guessing because you already bringing her into your business from jump.
I think
you like skipping that whole.
Well, the other thing too is, as a dude, you just have to know that, you got to be able to say you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Just listen, because the main thing when you're rapping and when you're rapping, you're just, I would say as a guy too, you're always trying to hustle so much. You're caught up in the hustle so much that you don't really think about relationship because you think every day you're going to hit lotto with your talent. So you're like thirsty, like, nah, tomorrow I gotta go here, because you think everything is a lotto ticket. So her having patience, but you have to acknowledge that. I think for me, in my experience, women think 5 to 10 years down the line. And when I was younger, I thought moments, I was thinking momentarily.
Right.
So I think you just have to be able to listen.
They need that security, dependability.
And take it and just be able to take it and go, you're right, and ride out that way. I think as far as I am with a lot of the things and where I'm at in life, as far as rapping and being successful and owning things and stuff like that, I think that's really a testament to me listening to her, because I definitely wasn't thinking about a lot of stuff, like owning the house and all this other stuff. I was so much on the grind of, I gotta fly here, I gotta record this and this and that. And she was at home like, yo, they got this house for this and this and that. About how, you know what I'm saying? So it's really acknowledging. You gotta take time and acknowledge where you are, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it.
That's fire. How about you, PJ?
Rashama, I like how you went and grabbed the bait on this question. Listen, I see you, King.
It's so crazy. Look, y'all talk about it. I got to go check on my women, and I needed to grab the bait.
There you go. There's responsibility, man. Never stop. Real men do what they do when they got to.
I had to say
night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pearl Gates, how about you, brother?
Yeah, just to add to that.
Yo, put the time in, brother.
When you're young, as much communication and as great of an understanding you think you have with your partner, right? Being in a rap in this way and like thinking you're gonna hit lotto, like Word said, right? You just tend to forget to nurture other aspects of your life. Period. It's not just relationships. So like he said, he wasn't thinking about the house, right? He wasn't thinking about this and that because you just thinking about the moment and how you can catapult into that space. And so just again, the more awareness you have, and the more you realize like I can do more than one thing at one time. You know what I'm saying? I can build in different areas. There is a time and place for everything. And so learning that, the amount of energy and effort that I put into my music, I had to put into my relationship if I wanted it to thrive equally. You know what I'm saying? And so that was something that I had to learn through tripping on that rock and right. But I've been blessed to have someone in my corner who is open-minded, understanding, and we can have open dialogue and communication. And also understanding that we came together, right? But we're each on our own individual journeys, and we cannot forget the individual because that's what we bring to the table. And so I was able to have that opportunity to find myself, to become myself, and it and in turn having that same respect for her and that same level of patience. And so you know, there's ups and downs like anything, but the best thing is when you can find that clarity, that awareness, and that understanding, and the sky is truly not even the limit, man. It can go.
Right. That's dope, man. That's dope. So we yeah, I think that's needed, man, especially because of who we are. You know what I mean? As men of color, it's just kind of like we need to celebrate our queens and at the same time let it be known like, yo, you could do what you do and not in any way let all women look, you know, like they're just a side piece of whatever it is that your life is entailing. You know what I'm saying? So we about to wrap up, man, because we definitely don't want to hold y'all up, man. One thing I wanted to do, I'm going to ask y'all, but I needed to say this before I do that. Words. Yeah. My brother, I look at you in your eyes, and I want to thank you for what you've done for hip-hop, the culture. I definitely want to thank you, you know what I mean, for the part that you played in that Lyricist Lounge, man, especially when that was out on MTV. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, those are things that at that time, we had different options of what hip-hop was. Right. And then we had, at the same time, the infiltration of what rap started becoming. You know what I'm saying? And I think the fact that you was part of a major movement, man, that, you know, every time, especially me and Self, we grew up together. We, you know, we created the SoundMinds thing, and being young and thinking about, yo, if we ever get signed, it got to be to a certain label that represents hip hop and MCs. And you know what I'm saying? Like you had that, man. And I just got to ask you, do you feel like at this current era or environment that we're currently in, you feel like there'll ever be like a Lyricist Lounge show or just even that type of movement?
Yeah, you know, I think
because it's still better than anything else out. If for y'all that don't know, it's Saturday Night Live mixed with it's 3 of your greatest shows you ever seen today. Right. And it just like said, for lack of having whatever the momentum of the higher ups is the only reason. So let me just say that for people who don't know what we're talking about. It's an amazing concept and show.
Yeah, thank you. I think like you got your wilding out. You know, after we did the lounge show, they actually had another company try to do a show, and it was called Crash and Burn. It was similar to that. It was on MTV too, right after us.
And it crashed and burned.
When people remember that, it was crazy. Came out right after us, same network, and it didn't do well. And then Nick Cannon was able to understand his knowledge of being in the game so long was able to take what we did and understand how to make it more lively as an entertaining show on a game show kind of level. You know what I'm saying? And he knows of the show because I've met him before. So you met him like years ago. So he's aware of how that springboard to this.
Yeah, he should have you on his show.
Yeah, if it happened, it happened. I was thinking.
All right, brother. So what we gonna do if you want that, man? Let's start the hashtag now. Because honestly speaking, you gotta, you know what I mean? Like you gotta pay the proper respects and ode when you see somebody who did something before you and know that you eating off of what they did. Through that same vein, you gotta pay your proper respects, man.
Yeah, I look at it like this, man. How I look at it is that's kind of how life is. Like if he knows of me and people go on and do their thing. I'll tell you 2 ways I look at it.
You lit the torch.
Absolutely. Too. One way I look at it is we're all LeBron, and we're not all gonna have an Eric Spoelstra or Greg Popovich.
True.
Right. So in my journey in my career, I realized that I'm gonna probably win my ring as Doc Rivers. You get what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that. You know, while some people still will be able to win their ring with the right team. And you got to be able to understand when people ask me about my journey, that's how I look at it. I'd be like, man, I had really no guidance with a lot of stuff I did first. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know the right low. It is what it is, but I was able to live and learn. So that's one. 2, as far as doing the show, I look at it like me doing the show, things spawning off of that, but then if I was able to do that, what's my next thing that I can do that can take me to the next level? Like I don't hold no animosity or anything like malice. I look at it like I possess the talent to do the next thing. So speaking about that, I say that to say like I wrote a musical. So now I'm working on this musical, and that's showing the next evolution of what I'll do on that stage. And that's kind of where I'm at with it more so. I don't really look at anybody owing me anything. I look at it more like I owe myself more than anybody owing me. And
I love that.
If I believe in myself as dope as I think I am, you know, if I feel I'm the best, I have to always make sure I'm giving my best in whatever route that I'm doing it. And some things aren't to be discovered today. You know? So I look
at the seed.
Yeah, I look at like stuff like me and Gates album, like 20 years from now, you know. I love Pandora because my daughter finds stuff that she's listening to, and like I remember she was listening to a Cunning Linguist record, and she's like, I was like, I know them guys. like I did a song, but like it just randomly came up. So I think you got to make sure what you're doing right now is putting things to be found when they're found, and for them to get appreciated when they do. I don't think you should be trying to time it and worry about that. So I take the inspiration from that, but also I go, okay, I have to evolve to what's the next thing of me. And that's how I look at it. So as far as a new lounge show, I've been hit up about it.
All right, my last question, because we're going to talk about some of these other things. We definitely going to hold y'all to a next episode. Y'all already know that, right? But my question to Pearl is, when you hear the brother Wordsworth saying these things, one, do you feel like he's being a little too humble, like he needs to be recognized more? And two, as a crazy tactician of yourself, like again, I'm knowing what Words does off stage, on stage. So I'm going to this new Words project. Oh, let me check this out. Oh, who's this on the side? And then you blowing my mind with beyond my expectations, like, oh, this dude is legitimate. You know what I'm saying? This dude like been telling you about. So one, do you feel he's being a little too humble in one sense? But two, as someone is coming up with him, because sometimes when you see people are so great being humble, it kind of makes you feel like, wait, he needs more. Is it okay for me to ask for more, demand more, especially in this time of Black Lives Matter? There's a lot of people, and also we shout out to the women, shout out to the gay LGBTQ community and the trans community, because I have seen these siblings of ours doing so much these days. But one of the things that I've learned from them is they really ask for their value a lot. Knowing they're going to be told no, and knowing how to. These brothers and sisters really be like, I matter. I know I look crazy to you. I know you don't disagree with me, but I matter. And they've changed the way I think about so many things. So I say that to make it a serious question, like not like a humble joke. This is real, you know, and you already noticed we have conversations on our podcast and a lot of entertaining podcasts. One, do you really think he's being a little too humble? But two, do you think, how does that make you feel about being humble and real, and what the balance is?
I mean, first off, my very first show when I road managed EMC, you know, we were in Albany, and we were having dinner before the show at a restaurant. And mind you, you know, obviously I know Words is a comrade. I know, you know what I'm saying, he's dope, right? But this is my first time like outside of that first show that I met him, you know, kind of being around him on some regular, you know, hanging out. And no lie, the chef came out from the back with the apron, like the lead chef of the restaurant. It was this white dude came out. He was like, yo, I'm sorry I look crazy right now. I just want to get a picture with you. You're my favorite rapper. And I was like, wow. Like he got word from back there, and you know that was the impact he had, and he was nervous. You know what I'm saying? Taking a picture, and I say that to say, you know, Wordsworth is a legend, man. He's a legend, in his own right, and he's done a lot, that have both been visible and respected, and a lot that has gone unnoticed because it's low key, and yeah, like, but also in terms of, is he being too humble? I think that like the even keel personality is the reason why he's been able to do so much. You know what I'm saying? And continues to do so much. And so he's continuously adding chapters to the book because he's utilizing his platform of life to the fullest extent. And so I wouldn't change the way he is because it's working. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yo, so we I love that, man. Like I said, man, I love y'all relationship, B. I love the fact that that brotherhood is so needed. You know what I'm saying? Especially in what we do. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I want to also add, because you did have some more to your question I didn't answer. But you know, in terms of myself and being the tactician that I am, I'm definitely working on different levels to create positions for people of our background to be able to, you know, open the floodgates and allow others after us to come and change the way that we think of success, and we think of you know, where we belong, right? Because like I've been up on Jawanza Kuntufu lately, who's an educator, and an author, and a lot of the things that he wrote about in terms of education is that, you know, we have millions of people of color that see the NBA, for example, and 6 million people are literally vying for 600 positions. You know what I'm saying? And just being you know, blinded in terms of like, these are our options, sports, entertainment, right? But there's so many other spaces that we can be impactful, that we can be, I mean, not even we can be, we have been great at. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been great black inventors, scientists. The first doctor was Imhotep. You know what I'm saying? And so if we can continue to open our eyes and open the eyes of the people that are coming after us, which is what I'm working on in my own way. I won't give too many details, but trust me, it's in the works, and we're working on all levels to
that's for the next podcast. Subscribe now. SoundMindsHipHop.com.
Yo, so with that being said, right, we here for a reason, because of the love of the culture, right? You know, and y'all see the shirt, man. This is microphone being held. Shout out to my man Raheem, who has Just for Laughs and Shits. I don't curse in a regular speech, but that's the name of the clothing line, so y'all can check that out. I need to ask y'all this, man, so we can close out. Your favorite 16. Now, I know I'm not asking you for the best 16 that you ever wrote. I'm asking you for your favorite, the one that you like, yo, the bar for bar, the line for lines, it just hit different. You know what I mean? Like, would y'all mind sharing your favorite 16?
I'll give you mine. Mine's is called Convicted. It's actually on the Our World Today album, and I'll spit it for you. It's 9 months in the cell. Mom in labor, should have came out premature for good behavior. Why come out when dudes like me fill in the morgue? Man, hang myself in my cell with my umbilical cord. A bastard. The doctor says that I look like my mama's man. See the resemblance? The mug shot is a sonogram. Uterus walls. I started as a speck small. My dad denied me, wouldn't accept me like collect calls. Weight she gained, sudden labor pains, then she slept more. Mom craving pickles, had me kicking in the mess hall. Came out headstrong, cried when I hit earth. Born naked since birth, like I was strip search. Family came to visit, talking through the glass. At the baby shower, got my commissary and some cash. Thank God I wasn't born addicted. I was born convicted because of my pigment.
Sound Minds. Pearl Gates, let's get it.
I would say one of my favorite rhymes, my favorite 16s was the second verse of my Diamond Mine song, which was the first song off the Diamond Mine EP. And on that joint, I say, you know, now everywhere you turn, they reminding you we're out to get your soul, calcify your pineal, activate your fears, emasculate your peers, close doors on the real, hope they buzz will disappear. But purpose plus patience equals where you're supposed to be, a God and light, illumination for your eardrums. Grew up on some blocks where the people didn't care none. Never make the Air Force, but rob you for your air ones. Soldiers in the field fight for corners, not theirs. Sipping Henny like it's beer. Plucking chickens with no hair done. Better stay aware, they ain't gripping on no air gun. And still, it only made the flow so ill, right? Transition from the way, damn, what I say, the way the flow feel, mine like a diamond found in Ivory Coast hills. Damn, what I know I ended that verse with, I said, may my best written be when writing my will. And I think that was one of my favorites just because of that, just because like I knew then, I'm like, I want my best rhyme to my best written to be my will.
Right.
You know
The last, yeah, right.
behind.
Sound Minds
Fire.
to that.
Sound Minds.
And y'all got a song on Champion Sounds where y'all basically read y'all eulogies. Like, anyway, it's been an honor to have y'all. Like, I'm the most talkative, so I need to shut my mouth because I know y'all do have to eat and stay organized. I'm gonna let them finish, but one thing I want to say, we always give our verse our personal song. I know all these beautiful relationships you've been giving us advice on. Like, who's talking to them for? Yo, I'm not gonna tell you what my verse of the week is for me because I'm gonna donate that to these brothers right there. Listen to the whole Champions Sounds album and then proceed to listen to the rest of their catalog. I'm out. Self-suffice kind of rap poet. SoundMinds hiphop.com/podcast. Yo, words in Pearl Gates. I see y'all on episode 20, man. Like, maybe we could have y'all be every zero. We bring y'all back because we could do this forever. I love y'all, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think, honestly speaking, man, I think I want to echo that and say for all of us, man, we are more than humbled by the fact that y'all took this time out on a Sunday. You know what I mean? I know that y'all got things to do, man. Probably people waiting on you and different things. I know, like me and my family, they were waiting for me to eat and all that, and it's just the strength in that, you know what I mean? So pardon whoever is in your life, your better half, and, you know, pardon us for holding y'all this long, man. Words, me and you are, and we've met a couple of times before, man, but whatever you ever need from me, brother, please do not ever hesitate, man. Yeah. Pearl, you already know, it don't matter 2 a.m, it don't matter what it is, man. Like, I definitely do appreciate, we appreciate the fact that y'all sat down with us this long and answered every question thoroughly. There was not a dance around. There was not you know what I mean? There was so many other questions we had too, but in the light of what we do, the culture of what we do and love, man, y'all brothers, man, stand up tight, you know what I mean? And I appreciate y'all for being the example of what we all should have. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fine.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And, you know, you guys could contact me if you ever, whatever you're dealing with, whatever, just like, yo, what do you think about all this? I'm always around to give a perspective, you know, so you always feel free. Yo, what do you think about this? You know, I'm always down.
Right. I appreciate that, brother. We definitely do appreciate that, man. Sound, you know, and that's the thing, man, when it all comes, you know, we talk about energies and the alignment of certain things, man. When you have Champion Sounds, Sound Mind, you know what I mean, put it together, like this episode was so powerful. Not because of the histories and resumes that we bring, you know what I mean, especially you brothers with everything that y'all been doing, but the energy that's created within 5 men of color who sat there and showed empowerment, enlightenment, and unity within, you know what I mean, one screen. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that, man. Sound Minds.
Sound Minds to that, man. Appreciate y'all coming. Listen, man, this has been a great episode, the 10th episode of Sound Minds Sunday. The Sound Minds podcast. Listen, man, 10 episodes. That's like a season right there. We could almost call this season 1. You know what I'm saying? That's season 1 right there. And we just capped season 1 with a historical episode, man. This has been SoundMinds Sunday. SoundMinds podcast. It's SoundMindsHipHop.com. Self-suffice. LiteSkin. King Rob.
Oh, real quick. My fault, y'all. Anything that y'all brothers are working on now that you want to let the people know about, my fault for even throwing this out this late, but anything that you working on, I know you got the book coming out the 20th, you know what I mean? Anything that you guys are, any projects or anything like that you want the people to know about?
Yeah, I got the book. It's called What Words Are Worth, Volume 1, New Beginning. That gives you an idea of me and Gates. I had figuring out the title. He helped me come up with the title. I was like, yeah, that's fire. That's what we so that's volume 1. So look forward to more. I'll probably do them like every summer. I'm feeling the vibe every summer. I have that time to sit there and write it. So volume 1. Also I'm working on an album with Superstition. We got a whole album done. We're still working on more songs.
Another dope.
Yeah, another dope artist. And, me and Gates working towards that champion sounds 2.
Hey, starting. Gonna ask all that. Okay.
Yeah, starting on that. Follow me.
Flip the S to a 2.
Yeah, man.
Right.
That might be kind of ill. So,
you know what I mean?
Instagram, man. Wordsworth BKLYN. I'm on Facebook heavy. They're pretty much I'm real active on there as far as reaching out to me with everything. I give a lot of updates of what I got going on there. Twitter, Wordsworth_EMC.
Fire. PG.
Yeah, I got a project with Sil called Play This 2, a full-length LP that dropped earlier this year. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out.
Crazy. Project is crazy.
Definitely another joint that just reflective of our environment and where we came up at and our story. I also have an EP in the works that I'm looking to drop like end of the summer, and it's gonna be in collaboration with a company that is in the CBD world in terms of the oils and the herbs and stuff like that, and we're trying to promote just more information and knowledge out there in terms of the health benefits of the CBD side and getting away from the THC, right? And
I know Rashawn about to invest right now off this.
And so how you can actually benefit from hemp and in ways that better your life, and you don't have to be quote unquote high, right, to experience those things. And so we're doing a collaboration where this project is going to be released along with that product, and so just be on the lookout for that.
Fire. A lot of things in the works, man. Loving it.
Make sure y'all support these brothers. I'm telling you, there's nothing but great things in the works, and on top of that, they got his history in the works already. You know what I'm saying? Already, you got timeless music out there. You got shows, you got placements, you got just a bunch of gems being dropped on this podcast tonight, man. I want to say thank you once again.
Thank y'all.
On the count of 3, could we get a SoundMinds? And mine is gonna be on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3. SoundMinds.
Peace.
Peace to y'all.
All right, y'all.